management perspective to create shareholders value, I think below 3,800 it one can start accumulating L&T.
Okay. L&T, actually buy calls today on Shadowfax, on Grow, as well as some of the other players that are coming in. So clearly there is a focus on trying to find, even Lenskart has another GS, Goldman Sachs has initiated a buy with a target price of 635. So I think some of these domestic stories will also be in focus. But as we get into the pre-open session, what are the sectors you should watch out for today? For one, West Asian geopolitical tensions are keeping crude volatile. ONGC, Oil India and all OMCs will be in focus this morning as the first rates hit. Qatar's LNG plant has shut down. Watch out for GAIL, Petronet LNG, city gas distributors, Gujarat Gas primarily amongst them, and fertilizer companies will also see some pain. Precious metals have turned fairly volatile. Hindustan Zinc and Gold Finance companies should be watched out for. I'm going to get a view on gold because gold prices actually dipped overnight as the dollar is getting stronger. But is that a play which can reverse? Higher revenue exposure from Gulf countries. These are some companies. L&T, we were speaking about VATech, Waba, KRBL, BLS International. Watch out for some of these. Spike in crude prices, Interglobe Aviation, paint stocks, Asian Paints, etc. Tire stocks will all see some amount of pain, and supply chain pricing shock. Candidates, watch out for Vishnu Chemicals, Aarti Industries, Vinati Organics, Atul and the like. So you are going to see a lot of companies in pain this morning. Chandan Taparia joining in. He's Head Technical and Derivatives Research at MOFSL. Chandan, very good morning to you. Is there a prediction on the Nifty you would like to make?
Good morning. Thanks for having me. So, season's greeting, but yes, due to the geopolitical concern,
yes, no, absolutely. Happy Holi to everyone celebrating today. People in Maharashtra have done some celebrations yesterday, but yes, season's greetings to you too, Chandan.
Yeah, so looking at the market, it seems it's more of the red color. Looking at the geopolitical concern, index has started to form the lower top, lower bottom. However, on last trading session, it respected budget day low, but I believe now that level is going to be violated due to the geopolitical concern. So I believe till Nifty remains below 25,000, we need to either be in sideline or utilize the sell on bounce stance. On downside, the next meaningful level will be around 24,200 to 24,000 marks. So 24,200 to 24,000 we need to keep in mind. But as of now, till the Nifty remains below 200 EMA or till 25,000 is not surpassed decisively, better to wait and watch mode kind of scenario. Looking at the trading ideas, first trade is buy on ONGC. We believe that crude has given a breakout, and the surge in the crude might give the positive momentum in the oil exploration company. ONGC witnessed good recovery, so with support of 275, one can look for an upside target towards 296, 300. Negative on the IT name, Coforge is one of the weak counter, has been making lower top, lower bottom. So with the hurdle of 1190, one can sell for the downside target towards 1110 to 1100 levels.
Well, yeah, everything is getting clobbered. Only a few pockets standing out. Chandan, how strong is the aluminum pocket looking? Okay, guys.
Okay, so let me ask the question for Neeraj. He was asking about the aluminium pocket, and of course, he highlighted this in his trade setup in the three stocks as well, the latest update coming through. So if you were to play that aluminium basket, Chandan, how would you play it?
So we have positive view on two themes. First, crude, second, precious metal. Because the equity is under pressure. So definitely we'll need to look at the most of the precious metal, whether we talk about the gold, silver, aluminium, zinc, copper, and we have positive view on all these names, and Nifty metal can do well. So positive stance on the national aluminium, one of the strongest counter. However, in last couple of days, it witnessed some corrective and consolidative move, but holding well above its 50-day exponential moving average. Even on the last trading session, it witnessed support near 340, 341, witnessed the positive move towards 362. So one can continue to hold the long position with support of 350, and this counter can head towards 380, 385 kind of level. Apart from that, one can also look at the counter like Hindustan Copper with the support of 560, it can head towards 600 kind of level. So Hindustan Copper, National Aluminium, and gold and silver could be positive for day or week as well.
Yep. So some green shoots, if you will, not necessarily should trade them. Please, viewers, remember, if you are indeed not an expert trader, Our experts are, of course, recommending it based on their charts and derivative and fundamental positions. You need to be a bit careful about doing these things because it could go on the wrong note and it might not turn out to be a good experience. So please be careful. These are slightly unusual times and not quite trending times. So please be mindful of that. Okay, before we move any further with some other conversations, let me get in Sharad to talk about, the key brokerage call of the day today. Morgan Stanley has a bullish stance here. May not necessarily play out today, but would love to hear the argument. Sharad?
Well, thanks a lot for that, Neeraj. And last week at KYC also we had picked up this company giving 5 out of it. And now Morgan Stanley has come out of its report initiating an overweight with a target price of 180 rupees per share. They have stated that the company is executing well and it's taking an advantage of its increasingly supportive industry structure. And the company itself is focusing on niche segments. This augurs well for the margins also going ahead. The business is relatively less capital intensive versus the peer, and interestingly there is a superior cash flow yield also coming in. The overweight thesis which is coming in is because of the improving execution from the company and the industry, and overall the company remains profitable, especially while working in the niche areas. So that's why Morgan Stanley is bullish on Shadowfax.
Thanks a lot for that, Sharad. I don't know if too much of optimism around anything today. Keep in mind that the currency is really cracked as well. And I think this is broadly a dollar strength. I mean, you look at USD JPY, USD CHF, the dollar is strengthened against most currencies because in effect, if there is one nation which is truly energy unimpacted, it is the US, because they really are insulated from all these energy moves here and there, and which is that the dollar strengthened against most major currencies, and no surprise that the INR 2 has fallen to 92.08 currently. Anindya Banerjee, SVP Currency and Commodity Research at Kotak Securities with us. Anindya, maybe a larger play of the dollar strength, but this is not great news any which ways.
Very good morning, and thank you for having me. Yes, actually it's kind of double punch, because on one hand we have this Strait of Hormuz being blocked and the oil prices are rising. Yes, the oil prices have not risen to levels which will set the alarm bells ringing. It's currently around 82, 83. But what's actually happening is, if you look at the cross-currency basis swaps, which basically gives us an indication about the dollar funding conditions, those are actually going deeply into negative, which means people are paying premium to borrow dollars in the offshore market. So that is what is hitting the currencies, including the Indian rupee.
Anindya, but the moot point therefore is, where do we head from here? What are the lows that could be plumbed? And we were talking about the trade deal having benefited the rupee on the upside. We were yet to see the full impact of that. Is that out the window now?
Yes, because as long as the Straits of Hormuz is blocked, because a lot of maneuvers have happened over the last 12 hours. Trump has said that he is looking to at least start the energy flows through the Straits. Right now, we had a statement from Macron in the same direction. But as long as the barrels are not moving, the gas is not moving, this danger will continue. And it will continue to pressurize the rupee, which means RBI has to step in aggressively and supply the dollars, because it's a dollar shortage which is creating this.
Rightly, also as pointed out, it's dollar strengthening rather than the rupee weakening. But how low can we go if things continue as is, Anindya? What are the levels you're seeing for the rupee?
The 92 quarter is a level which we are watching. If it starts to sustain above that, then the next level will be around 93 or 93.5. But it totally depends on how far the oil will escalate, because if oil gets to $100, then we could see even the levels of 95.
Okay. 93 next if we don't sustain here. 95 if crude moves to 100. Anindya, thank you so much for joining in. For that quick take this morning. Kush Vora, Parag Thakkar, Chandan Taparia with us this morning. And first rates, the pre-open rates have also settled. Let's take a look at what is the extent of the carnage actually. About 500 points down on the Nifty is what I'm seeing after the pre-open session. It's unlikely you will see too much reprieve here. Relatively, perhaps, IT is looking good, but it's private banks that seem to have taken the knock in this pre-open session. Any buy calls? at lower levels on any stocks, at least from BFSI, Chandan?
Yeah, I'll focus on PSU Bank. I think this is one of the strongest counter. However, as the broader market is correcting, we might see a correction in the most of the banking name, but I believe SBI could be one of the strongest name, which really rallied well in last couple of months. Major trend is positive. So any decline towards 1130, 1150 could be bought with support of 1100, and positional we have target towards 1200 to 1235. So SBI and selective PSU banks could be in focus for buy on decline or bargain buying in the recent market corrective move.
Quick view to Parag Bhai, because obviously from the portfolio standpoint, and we've been talking about when to buy, why to buy, all of those things, but when do you sell? Because in certain pockets you will have seen significant capital losses. As we stand where at the start of March, you have the ability to, in certain cases, book long-term capital losses as an individual, set that off against capital gains over the next 8 years. Should you take that call today?
So basically, we have already done that in our portfolio. We have already done that. That's why I sold one of the mid-cap IT stock at a loss also. But at today's prices, I will not do that. Today's, in fact, HDFC Bank and ICICI Bank both I saw are opening at 3% below, right?
Yeah.
These are great buying, thumping the table buys for me.
Yeah.
Like whatever happens to oil.
What are you saying?
Whatever happens to oil, it goes to 100. It's okay. Banks are not going. So basic, and whatever feedback I'm getting, I think HDFC Bank is raising good deposits, and they'll outgrow the system in terms of deposits, and so they will be able to match their guidance of system level growth in FY26 and above system level growth in FY27. I remain confident of it. They are large holdings. I have not sold a single share, and I'll buy on dips today.
And ICICI Bank as well?
Both.
Okay.
What about PSU banks?
So PSU banks, in my
SBI.
view, the amount of underperformance of HDFC and ICICI versus SBI. SBI was always my favorite. It is always my favorite. But right now, the underperformance of HDFC and ICICI versus SBI is beyond imagination. So right now, my tilt is clearly towards HDFC and ICICI. But I would like to put a disclaimer: these are not trading bets.
Sure.
As Dheeraj rightly pointed out, today is a very volatile day. So you should only, if you are institutional investor, you are going to phase it out on every dip, then only you should pay attention to what I am saying.
Yeah, no, clearly that's, I mean, this is not a trader's market in that sense in any case, but is there an opportunity to create, market gives you few opportunities to create wealth in a longer term.
Absolutely.
So that's the idea. Are you getting any of those opportunities right now? HDFC, ICICI buys, what are you looking at on charts right now? Because it's
all red, a sea of red. Holy market red color se hi khel raha hai. That's the only one that's allowed right now. No, but I agree with Chandan, in the fact that, we've maintained that PSU banks were overheated. Thoda sa correction aana chahiye, thoda sa profit booking aana chahiye. But on declines, they become very, attractive, very interesting buys. SBI, of course, stands out. Then you've got the likes of Canara Bank and PNB. Also, as a part of, like a theory or principle or practice, what I at least what I do is stocks that have been doing well before a big event knocks the wind out of them is what you should focus on, because then you get those stocks at good prices and then they move up again. PSU banks most certainly fall in that bracket. So I will definitely have that on my radar as and when the dust settles. HDFC and ICICI, we've again been very bullish on this. My concern with HDFC is that it's just not moved and there has been volumes on the higher side. So do you accumulate these stocks from a medium to a long term perspective at these levels? Most certainly. Are they trading buys? Not really. I still prefer PSUs for a momentum trade. Again, on declines. Maybe not today, maybe not at this point. But yeah, once the things settle, PSU banks make a very clear buy.
About a minute left for the start of trade. Chandan, last quick views on individual counters that you're looking at that might look a little bit okay today. Yeah,
so again, we have to be very specific and we need to keep in mind about volatility. India VIX can head towards 20 marks. If I have to pick one counter, definitely that will be ONGC. Already recommended with support of 275 for an upside target towards 296. If opens positive, after a small dip, one can accumulate also.
Keep in mind that small dip, don't buy ONGC 2% higher, Chandan is saying. The targets are about 295. Keep that in mind. But oil is, even if oil has cooled off from the highs, it is still flared up, and therefore that's constructive for oil upstream companies. Keep an eye out for Oil India as well out there. But very limited positive sentiment right now. So bear that in mind. Let's see how the day progresses. Do we actually see further downticks in line with what's happening to some of the Asian markets, or will we see a semblance of some stability 500 points lower? I think that remains a key question. 2% points down on open, 421 odd points or thereabouts. Banks about 1.6% lower. Mid caps 1.5%. Small caps would be maybe 2.5% or 3%. Oh no, just 1.5%. Not bad really. But now the Sensex is down a couple of percentage points. So it kind of stays around this 450 to 500 point down tick. Let's get the heat map up on the screen and show you the quantum of red really. Well, surprising fair degree of green, and IT is actually not doing too badly. INFI and TCS standing out there. The standout more, of course, is ONGC, and 2.5% higher already now. I reckon Oil India too could be doing okay. BEL about 1.4%. Coal India, a lot of people have turned constructive on Coal India in a couple of brokerage notes that I read this morning. So keep an eye out for that. HCL Tech is not doing badly either. It's in the red, but just about 0.18%. But a defensive bent to the market this morning. ONGC cools off as we speak. What's correcting? L&T another 6.5%. Exposure to the Middle East, a lot of contracts from the Middle East, clearly facing the brunt. Indigo 4% lower as well. 20% of its capacity in Europe and Middle Eastern flights, and plus oil price uptick also impacts it. Adani Ports, naturally, the quantum of trade coming under question. Maybe that's why this one is down 3.5%. Shriram Finance 3.5%. JSW Steel about 3.5%. HDFC Bank is down 3%. Right now the market is not distinguishing. Reliance too is down about 3%. Those are the two heavyweights that are putting some real pressure on the indices now. About 2% lower, and volatility another 14% higher. So tough start.
Tough start. Infosys an unlikely winner in today's trade, and some of the other tech plays are also coming up. Maybe that AI threat not looking as bad as bombing in some of your sites in relative terms. I mean, I don't know how you would look at this market. India VIX, let's pull up the India VIX right now, another 15% up. Really, that's an important factor to look at right now when markets get so uncertain. I also want to look at the small cap and mid cap indices as well. Yeah, there you have the India VIX 15% up right now. The mid cap index about 2% down in trade. The small cap also about another 267 points down. All of this is looking fairly painful. You're already at the lowest point of the day. Let's see if there's a recovery in the next couple of minutes, if at all. Let's pull up the sectoral heat map. I think the defense pack is the only one you see in the green, if at all. Oh, it's IT. Nifty IT showing a smart move. India defense also seeing a bit of a pain. Nifty IT nearly 0.5% up right now. The lowest or the biggest hit on infra, this could be L&T and other such companies. Auto companies also seeing some pain, and for a variety of reasons. You have crude prices, you have the choke point of your parts coming in, very highly import dependent sector as well. Nifty Realty also seeing pain. It's across the board really. I want to pull up the constituents of the Nifty IT. Let's see some of the stocks and how they're doing, because this seems to be the contrarian play of the day. Infosys about 1.5% up. HCL Tech, actually it's just Infosys which is really doing well. Everything else is quite soft, but at least in the green in relative terms. Let's pull up our Middle East war watch list, because that's really the only way to look at the markets today. ONGC, of course, because of crude prices, higher crude prices. Oil India as well, up in the green, that's expected. Hindustan Aeronautics, BEL, some of those defense plays. I saw Paras Defense also doing pretty well. HAL, though, about % down. Deep Industries, Jindal Drilling, some of these could, see, at least Jindal Drilling could see a sentimental positive. Deep Industries a negative at this point. Shipping, GE Shipping, Shipping Corporation of India will also be impacted, although their freight rates go up, but that helps them when they can actually move. Can any shipping company risk going through the Strait of Hormuz when that could be the next theater of war, with Iran saying what it is and the US saying what it is? GAIL, Petronet, LNG. Let's look at those as well. Those will be the ones with a massive impact. Petronet LNG has a huge deal with Qatar, and Qatar has said we are not open for business right now till this doesn't settle down. City gas distributors, fertilizer companies will all see some pain, and you're seeing that across the board. Oil marketing companies also, and paint companies, tire companies, I mean across the board you're going to see a lot of pain coming in. I don't know if it's any sense to read out the entire laundry list because everything's in the red. Anything you're spotting in the green? Except for IT.
There are about 30 stocks from the Nifty 500 that are currently in the green, and some very odd names here, I will say. But there are some nice ones as well. Some that we had projected or predicted. Zentech is up about 3% from the defense pack, and so therefore a few of these names stand out. They did stand out on Monday as well when the rest of the market was falling. You have Natco Pharma, you have Solar Industries, Coal India is up and about. Swiggy, interestingly, markets are down, you will probably order it. Who knows? It's up and about in trade today. Oil India, we were speaking about ONGC and the fact that it's up and about. Oil India also gaining about 2.2%. The one that I found a little odd though is Tejas Network, because if you look at the last few trading sessions, and I'm looking at the last three in particular, not today, 11% gains on Monday, 17.5% on Friday, 16.76% on Thursday. The question is, some of you will be looking at this one counter that is doing particularly well today, up 12%, and wondering whether to ride that. Kush, quickly, do you want to say something on this?
It's just a hold. It's already overheated, and if you've been holding on to this for a very long time, you're probably just recovering, a hint of the losses that you've been incurring, right? So it's just a recovery, a hold more so.
Okay, quick view on Larsen & Toubro. You spoke about 3,800. Yeah, it did slip below that briefly, but it's holding at 38.18. Would you look to nibble in right now at this moment?
You can nibble in, but I would want more clarity on this Middle East thing because it's a very large part of their business. So some payments might get delayed, some execution might get delayed, but I think I would want more clarity from company itself.
Okay. Okay, so point well made. And Chandan, last point. On the fundamentals, Parag Bhai has spoken about steel companies and the fact that if there is a crack, he would look to add. Does that also hold true for the technicals? Because you have Steel Authority of India Limited, you have Tata Steel, both cracking over 4% at this moment.
Yeah, so I'll be more positive on the aluminum, zinc and copper name than steel. If I have to first recommend the first idea from this metal space, I'll focus on National Aluminium. With the rising support of now 353, it can head towards 385 kind of level. Talking about Steel Authority and Tata Steel, I believe major trend is positive, but due to the weakness in the broader indices, some profit booking could be there. If I look at the Tata Steel, it has major support near 195, 192. So I think near to those level, one can look for accumulation, but one need to keep in mind that VIX is at higher level. Most of the indices are in on negative side, whether we talk about the headlines or sectorial. So better to wait, let them stable and be specific even in the metal basket also.
Thank you so much, Chandan, Kush and Parag for joining in today. We end this leg of the conversation on India Market Open, but all the action continues. Dinshaw Irani joining in now, CEO of Helios Capital. Dinshaw, a very good morning to you. Are you in a holy mood?
No, not really. I mean, the market is though. You can see only red out there.
No, I was asking because I was wondering for Bombay Walas, you might as well have played 2 days of Holi instead of looked at a market like this.
Right. Actually, all across the country, my offices are shut. Bombay is the only one which is working today.
Yeah. What will you do in this market right now? Are you looking at opportunities to nibble, or this is, this too much volatility to take a call and do anything but sit on the sidelines?
So basically, Tamanna, the fact is this war came out of the blue. Nobody was expecting it to start so early. I think only Grok predicted 28th as a date. Otherwise, everyone else was on the mid of March. As all the other AI models were in the mid of March. But the fact is that I think it was rushed into. And frankly, I mean, when you rush into a war without any concrete strategy, things can pan out to be a bit more painful and longer. I think that's where the problem arises. Had it been a short war, which was earlier thought to be, but as things are panning out, it seems it's going to be a stressed out version. Hopefully not as long as what Russia and Ukraine are into. But the fact is that this may not be weeks, maybe a month or so as such, and that is going to be painful for the market. So I would rather say that if you're looking at buying something, stay on the sidelines. And in fact, I mentioned in one of the channels earlier also that we have some cash, but we're not deploying it in a rush. We're waiting for some clarity on this front, because if things pan out to be longer, it can be very impactful for our trade, international trade, our currency, and obviously our consumption also, because I don't know how long the OMCs will be able to hold out on these prices as such, and may just take a hike later and impact the consumption too at some point in time.
Well put, Dinshaw. Morning, Alex here. I'm just wondering, so therefore, am I right in assuming that a month is the worst case scenario, or is it something that beyond? I know that it's hard to predict, but at this moment, if you're looking at your portfolio, if you're looking at certain suppositions, certain expectations that you will have to build in, is that something that is the worst case scenario, or is there something worse that you're already penciling in?
No, so actually I'm not a war strategist, but the fact is that we were rather played by the day and see how things are panning out. Fortunately for us, India's hung on for a while. I mean, it's done a phenomenal job in this market per se, and I think that's because we've been hammered for a while now. I'm talking about not only CY25, where we were probably the 20th out of 24 emerging markets in rankings, but also Jan, we were the 24th out of, sorry, not 23 out of 24th. The 24th was Indonesia, which is being thrown out of MSCI EM space and going to frontier markets. Otherwise, we've been doing very badly. But the fact is that fortunately, we're not in a Korea, which is down 20% in the last couple of days as such. So I think that way we've done fairly well. And we are outperforming the EM index, which is not saying much. But the fact is that we have done fairly well. But as I said, that I would rather play it by the day than take a call on what's going to happen. Things turn around in the fog of war, things turn around pretty fast. Maybe Iran will come down and say, okay, I'm ready for negotiations. And that will be a turning point, if you will. So I think we'll probably wait it out and see how it works. I'm not taking a call on whether it's going to last out a month or weeks or a couple of months. No way.
That is fair. That is fair. In the stocks that you're looking at, in the companies that you hold, fundamentally, are they relatively insulated? Is that something that you worry about? And two, if you're looking at the rupee and the fact that it is at 92.15 right now, already the proposition for foreign money coming in was a little bleak, considering the way that the currency has moved. Is that something that you will have to push likely further down the road?
So actually, you're right, because I think the INR has been impacted the most, because we are totally import dependent in terms of energy needs. We are totally import dependent, and that I think is playing upon the rupee per se. Almost 50% of our flows come from the Strait of Hormuz, which has been shut. Fortunately, there have been some sound bites that the POTUS has given out a warning to Iran, and he's going to send his warships in and stuff like that. But I think that's a longer term outlook at some later point in time. So that will obviously impact the flows. We were hoping that with this kind of underperformance that India had seen earlier, and with growth rates coming back in, and we were in the nascent stage of this growth, I think this war could have happened at a more worse time for India, because we were just picking up on growth, and now things are coming to a standstill in terms of not growth, but in terms of the money flows. I think that's where the impact will be felt. I don't think the FIs will be in a rush to come across to emerging markets right now.
Yeah, well, that is true. Dinshaw, could it be, good morning, Neeraj here, could it be that because of all of the factors that we've spoken about, and this current conflict puts that India not having AI trade also in the back burner, or whether India is a anti-AI trade also in the back burner, because right now conflict takes center stage. Could we drift lower if the conflict continues? It may be irrationally lower, it may be temporarily lower, and we may bounce back. But could that happen? Or do you believe these are the valuations where we could sustain?
So Neeraj, I believe that we are still, at this point in time, we think that we are irrationally lower as compared to what the world is seeing as such. Frankly, the amount of cash lying with the domestic mutual funds, we can very well deploy that and wait for things to work out at some point in time. But our feel is that hand on heart, we have very limited cash. But frankly, if I had more cash with for disposal as such, I would be deploying it now. Our cash is 1.5-2% across our portfolios, which we just want to conserve for a bit. Maybe there'll be some trades coming through, but I don't think we'll hang on to that cash much longer, whatever little we have. But if I had more, I would have been starting to deploy right now and waiting for this. Because frankly, if you look at our portfolio, I'm talking about Helios in particular, we have enough stocks to play out existing stocks where we want to, we see some irrational pricing happening. I think that's where we would be coming from.
Got it. Dinshaw, sorry, can I ask you, though I'm sure we can do that study ourselves, but since we have you, what's the rough quantum of cash that might be the Indian mutual fund industry sitting on, if you have a number there? If you don't, excuse me.
Well, no, I don't have the number there, but the last I saw, it was like close to some 1,20,000-30,000 crores as such, lying as cash with the mutual funds.
Okay, fair call. Today, for example, Dinshaw, IT is kind of doing okay, aluminum stocks are doing okay, some pipe companies may be doing okay because of PVC price upticks. But what would be the first ports of call? Let's assume that the conflict ends in 7, 14, 21 days, the earlier the better. For world peace. But if the conflict were to show signs of ending, what would be the first ports of call?
Definitely not the stocks that you mentioned. The sectors that you mentioned. By the way, we've been negative IT for a while. over a year now. And in fact, and we've got very strong views out here. In fact, I was attending the Kotak conference last week, and Mr. Uday Kotak started the conference by saying that IT industry is in the Mahesh phase. Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh is the destroyer. And that was very ironical. It really has resonated with me because actually we've been saying that for a while. And the fact is that when the Mahesh phase hits you, you need to reinvent yourself. And that is precisely where the pushback is from the sector. They're still going on into these number of people growth phase as such, and not reinventing. They need to reinvent. And that's when the real reinvention will happen for the industry. And it will be a painful one, mind you. So that's why we're staying away from that sector. Aluminum, you talked about, Oman has shut production. And that's why Qatar has shut production. And that's why aluminum prices, aluminum is moving up as such. But frankly, the day the war ends, this is going to come off. So I don't think this war is going to last long anyways. As I said, couple of weeks, maybe a month. So that way. So we're not taking a call here. What we're doing, Neeraj, is we're looking at our own portfolio, which is mainly consumption-driven portfolio, domestic consumption-driven portfolio. There are hardly any external-facing sectors where we have been bullish, like Larsen & Toubro. I can share that name because it's in the portfolio. And that's suffered a bit because bulk of their flows come from, not bulk, rather 30-odd%. A third of their revenues flow in from the Gulf region. And that's why it's suffering right now. But as I said, once things turn around, so maybe these are the kind of sectors you want to look at, but you've got to take a call whether the war is going to last long or not. So that's where we are basically adding Neeraj.
Yeah, it's a good answer. Dinshaw, always a pleasure speaking with you, and season's greetings once again to you, to the family, to the team as well.
Thank you, and to your US too.
Absolutely. All right, we're continuing to track the implications of the ongoing war in the Middle East with the current situation. And we've given you all of the latest updates. The impact for Indian ship owners has also been quite significant. They've raised urgent concerns over the escalating situation and the escalation in threat to supply chains. The Indian government is in fact bracing for geopolitical impact as well. We've got Rishabh joining in to tell you about what the latest is here. Rishabh, morning, and what can you tell us?
Right, what we're seeing is a proactive government response to the escalating situation in the Middle East. What we're seeing is that a meeting has been chaired by the shipping minister, Sarbananda Sonowal. This is around, of course, the maritime security in the Persian Gulf. What has been activated by the shipping ministry is enhanced monitoring of all sorts of vessels, especially Indian flagged vessels in the Gulf region. A quick response team has been set up. Real-time tracking of Indian ships and 24/7 monitoring to sort of safeguard Indian vessels. All of that has been activated by the Indian Shipping Ministry. What we're seeing is that there are now mandatory reporting protocols that have been issued for vessels owners as well as managers. And what we're seeing is that there is close coordination that is being done by between Indian Navy, the MEA, and also, of course, the various other maritime security bodies. So an essential sort of current weather of Indian agencies also to protect the interests of Indian seafarers.
Okay, thank you for that, Rishabh. Just to understand the situation better, I'm joined by Anil Devli, CEO of Indian National Ship Owners Association. Mr. Devli, very good morning to you, and thank you for giving us time and speaking to us. Can you explain to us the situation as is? There has been overnight assurance of sorts from the US president saying that we will ensure that if required, the US military establishment will help ships go through. But as of this moment, is it safe to say that all traffic is stalled in the Strait of Hormuz?
Yes, good morning. It is absolutely correct to say that all traffic is stalled. There are certain ships which are on the northern side of the strait and vessels which are on the southern side towards Oman. The line that we are now drawing is 59 degrees east. Anything on north of that is in the high-risk area. The vessels, as far as Indian ships are concerned, there are now 37 ships in the region. Out of these, I would say close to about 25 or 26 seem to be in laden condition. They have loaded crude oil because we go into load crude oil. There are vessels which have LPG, and all of these vessels are currently floating around.
Yeah. Just one second, Mr. Devli. Let me just explain to viewers what they're seeing right now. You are currently seeing a live satellite real-time map of what is happening in that strait. And those little green and red dots are the vessels that are stuck around. Clearly, no movement on the passage at all. You mentioned, sir, that there are 37 Indian carriers or Indian ships.
Indian flagships. That
Indian
is ships owned by Indian companies.
Okay. And so if they're stuck, how do they get here? What does that mean? How many people are on board? How will they pass through? Can they be accorded safe passage? Are they safe?
So many questions. All that we are grappling with. So to try and answer serially, we all get in through the straits and go in all the way up until Kuwait. If you look at the map, you go all the way up until Kuwait to load. So there are various ports there that we load. Just to give you, we go into Kuwait, we go into Saudi Arabia, we go into Iraq on this side, Basra, load in United Emirates, and even sometimes down into Fujama. So the vessels go in for the purpose of loading crude oil and LPG. And when you come back, you have to come back. The strait is a two-way strait, and there isn't too much of depth available on the eastern side. So therefore, you have to, when going in and coming out, you have to be closer to Iran as you go in and you come back. Now that we are in, we have to come out, and right now there are too many imponderables, and therefore we have been told by the government, and it's safe navigation practice also, to float where you are and wait for things to happen. Coming back to how would we come out, at the meeting that was chaired yesterday, we have requested the minister that we will need the Indian Navy to help escort us out. This is similar to the situation we've faced in the days of the Red Sea crisis and with the Somalia pirates. So we would be most comfortable if our own Navy deployed their vessels, and then, in a caravan, usually these vessels sail out. As to answer when this will happen, my guess is as good as yours. But I think we will be guided largely by what the Indian Navy says to us. We are all concerned about the safety of our assets and our people. And to answer your question, it is estimated that there are close to about 119 to 120 seafarers who are on board Indian flagships in that area. And all of us are concerned. We are monitoring the situation almost half an hour. We have situation rooms opened up in our offices, and we are in touch with the more important part is being in touch with the families of the seafarers, because mercifully we are sitting on this side here in the office, but the important part is to ensure that our seafarers are safe and the anxiety of their families is taken care of.
Mr. Devli, there was a post by US President Donald Trump that he is asking the US insurance agency, or whatever you may call it, to give insurance, and we had heard that insurance was one of the detractors in addition to all that is happening. Now, and of course, he's also mentioned in that post that he'll ask the US Army or Navy to also help in the passage of ships through the Strait of Hormuz. Now, again, as you said, we don't know when it will happen. We don't know when the Indian Navy also steps in. But if this were to happen in the next 2 or 3 days, could that help meaningfully restart passage of crude oil tankers or crude oil carriers?
Well, if the latter happens, then it will meaningfully change.
By latter, you mean, sir?
Meaning the passage of the vessels under Army supervision or naval supervision of the powers that be. But if you look at the first part of your question, that if the insurance is put in, the insurance, incidentally, I must clarify here for your information, is the insurance has not been taken away. What happens is that the insurance companies, because a war-like situation develops, they come back and say, now within this area, whatever standard insurance you have is now not valid, and you need an additional war risk premium. So starting today, the war risk premium would apply to ships which are going to be in that region, and the cost is dramatically going to increase. So yes, to answer your question, will that help? In part, it will help, but there is currently only one American, what we call a protection and indemnity company that provides these services. Now, I don't know whether President Trump is going to be able to prevail on the other. There are 12 large international group of P&I clubs who provide this kind of cover. And these are all Europeans based in Europe, Brussels, and London. So I don't know whether he'll be able to influence them. But
Mr. Devli, just trying to understand, and thanks so much for that clarification. What we're trying to also understand is if this maritime trade is set to continue, first and foremost, this insurance premium going up. Can you help us quantify that and tell us how much of a cost increase it is?
Yeah. So illustratively, let us say if a vessel, I'm giving you top of the head figures because we still have to get details from our insurers. But what we understand informally is that vessels which are today paying a cover of about 40 lakhs of rupees a month would get pushed up to about 1 crore. So it would go up by at least 2 times, if not more.
Okay, and this is so therefore this is only in that Gulf of Hormuz region, right?
Yeah. So if you enter that region, as I said, 59 east, and I don't know what are the coordinates on the other side, but it would be all the way until Kuwait. So if you are entering that region, those premiums would apply.
So therefore, let me ask a follow-up question then. And you've already described very ably the various. So we're talking about the Suez Canal on one end. We're talking about the Gulf of Hormuz north of that. Right?
Yes, Suez Canal is on this side, sir.
Yeah, it's on the. So therefore, what I'm trying to get is what is the alternative route, and is this going to be something that is feasible to take up in the very near term? One would assume you would have to go around the Cape.
Yeah, so if you are using the Suez and therefore you are loading cargo on this side of Saudi Arabia or Yemen, or you're loading Egypt, etc., then you can pass via the Suez Canal. But if you have to load cargo in Kuwait or on this side of Saudi Arabia, where Ras Tanura and all these large terminals are, then you have, and I'm afraid you're one way in, same way out. It's like a canyon. You go in and then you have to take literally a U-turn and come back. So there is no alternative to that strait unless there is peace there and there is enough military to ensure that vessels don't get shot at. What you talk about the Cape of Good Hope, that is done by us, because if you cannot transit the Suez Canal, thanks to problems with the Houthi as we had them in the Red Sea, then you're absolutely correct. You can go down all the way down the Cape of Good Hope and go into Africa and then sail out into Mediterranean or into Europe, wherever you have to.
Just trying to understand, Mr. Devli, as of now, the question of freight rates may become moot because nothing is moving. But having said that, are you expecting a huge spike in freight rates?
Yes, I mean, when we see market today and the offers that ship owners are getting, the prices have, freight rates have definitely zoomed up. But nobody is accepting a contract. Nobody is taking up anything because it is, it's all in the air. You know, somebody will say, Anil, will you go there? I will say, unless it's safe, I will not go there. So regardless of the price that is given, today it doesn't matter. But yes, there are today offers. And we can see that even the freight rates have considerably gone up. There are some reports that VLCCs are commanding close to 500,000, and these are all astronomical figures. But again, I'm saying they are all on the top. We don't know of any contracts. Obviously, no ship owner is going to get into a contract on this at this stage.
Mr. Devli, just to get my understanding straight, to your mind, having adequate insurance is not going to be the kicker. It, as things stand, it needs naval protection from India, US, or whoever else for ships to pass. Insurance will not do it, right?
Yes. So I must clarify that insurance is necessary, but is not the single thing that we need. Yeah, it is necessary. Without an insurance, we obviously won't walk in.
Of course, yeah.
But for us to start moving, we need naval supervision. We need hand-holding from either the Indian Navy or the Israelis or the Americans or the Iranians for that matter.
Wow.
Just a quick question, Mr. Devli. In this situation, one would assume that costs are being transferred completely. Is that the right assumption to the people that you are working with?
At this stage, our vessels freight rates are fixed. At least all of these vessels, which I mentioned, this 37 ships. So those freight rates will not change. But any new contracts that start from tomorrow or day after, those will see higher freight charges being levied.
Just a quick question, and you've very ably described how the insurance is going to go up. In your estimation, back of the envelope, rough calculation as things stand right now, what is the overall cost increase that it will take for maritime trade?
It's very difficult to give you a figure, but from again going by generalities, I think you can take it that freight rates will go up at least 3 times, if not less.
Oh.
For example, on the container side, CMA, CGM, etc., have already announced a surcharge of about $3,500 on a 20-foot box, for example. You know, so that's really 4 times, going up to 4 times the freight rate.
It's the numbers are all becoming hypothetical right now because first a ship must be willing to go to charge a freight rate. Thank you so much, Mr. Devli, for speaking with us in such detail. We invite you back in the next couple of days when there is some movement to help us understand what the current situation is. Anil Devli there, who has in Ship Owners Association, who has in very, very great detail explained what's going on, and this is truly painting a serious picture because there are 120 people stuck. Indian nationals who are stuck. And what Mr. Devli is saying is that the Indian Navy needs to come in. Now the Strait of Hormuz is going to turn into the next theatre of war. You have Iran saying that we will set any vessel on fire. You have the US saying that we will get our military to give safe passage. The French are coming in and saying that as well. And then if there is a clash there, do we want the Indian Navy in the middle of it? What happens to these people? It's a tricky situation.
Very tricky situation. Now, would the Indian Navy still do it because India wants some of that crude oil to come in. That's a separate argument altogether. I think this is very difficult to call. As I heard him say that we've made a representation, but we do not know when is it that India will be able to do anything to that effect. So it's a black box right now.
I think the government and of course our defense ministry is going to be studying this as things stand right now before a decision is made. There'll be a lot of factors that they will.
No, but the presence of any military in that area will be seen in different ways.
Yes.
So it gets tricky. We're going to be tracking the story very closely, but meanwhile, the next conversation we have is also an interesting one. Indian Metals and Ferro Alloys, or IMFA, is in the spotlight after an important acquisition that puts IMFA on the global map for ferrochrome. They've acquired Tata Steel's ferrochrome plant, and the acquisition makes them India's largest producer of ferrochrome and the 6th largest producer of ferrochrome globally. Before we get that conversation going, let me go across to Puneet to set it up for us.
Well, thank you for that. Definitely a big acquisition of 610 crores of the ferrochrome plant from Tata Steel. Now, for IMFA specifically, this does, as you rightly mentioned, put them on the map to be the 6th largest producer of ferrochrome globally. That will, of course, be one of the biggest talking points of this chat. But also, apart from that as well, the company largely has given some detailed guidance in terms of what FY26 to FY28 could look like in terms of their in terms of the volumes guidance specifically. Now, they are roughly looking at 260 to 265 kilotons. We're looking to increase and almost double this number by FY28. So that will be the other thing I'll watch out from this chart. And the third and final thing on their ore raising trajectory as well, almost 725,000 tons is what was done in FY25, and this was expected to reach 10 lakh tons by FY27. Does the number still stand? Those will be some of the key aspects from this conversation, apart from the big acquisition as well.
Most certainly. Thanks, Puneet, for that. And we'll get to those company-specific pieces as well. But Shubhrakant Panda, Managing Director of Indian Metals and Ferro Alloys, and in an official capacity in the past and currently as well, a fairly senior member of India Inc. community. Mr. Panda, thank you so much for taking the time out and joining us, Neeraj here. Before we talk about your company per se, just a sense, because you would be, maybe you have business interests, maybe your colleagues or your peers that you speak to have these business interests as well. How difficult are the times currently? We know that crude oil movement, of course, is impacted through Hormuz, but a lot of other maritime activity, the costs associated, etc. Is it a big problem currently?
So good morning, Neeraj. Good to be on the show. Obviously, what is going on in the Middle East at the moment is a deep concern, not least because there's a huge expat Indian population over there. But from a business perspective as well, as you correctly pointed out, there is the impact on oil, and you've seen Brent move up sharply already. There is disruption in general to trade, and these are things to be concerned about. I think from a business perspective, what is most concerning is the uncertainty, because this doesn't look like it's going to be a 2-3 day affair. So one has to wait and see how this pans out. But certainly the uncertainty, the disruption to trade, all of this will have an impact. I mean, if you just to broaden the question a little bit, if you look at us, for example, we have no exposure to the Middle East. All our exports are to the Far East, and as of now, we don't see any disruption. But if you have a stoppage of global trade or a sharp sort of a cutback because of movement of vessels and all of that, at some point in time, it will start impacting. But hopefully, the situation will start to resolve itself sooner rather than later. And more than anything else, I hope and pray for the safety of all people out there.
So well put, Mr. Panda. And the reason why I wanted to start off with that with you, because as in your position and your capacity earlier as the chair of FICCI, you have a great sense of how India Inc. as a collective body goes through, or what does it go through, and the measures that can be taken. Now, can this conflict, if this were to last, present a real and present danger to costs, to margins, so on and so forth, or are some of these manageable? As time and again in the last 5-6 years during COVID and otherwise, India Inc. has shown that when the backs are to the wall, they tend to respond very well. How is this different from the recent past?
So I think, I like the way you put it, that the Indian economy, Indian corporates, I think are very resilient. There is a lot that has been done, especially in the last 5 or 6 years, to add to that resilience. So I would have faith in that. But certainly, if this were to drag on, unfortunately, then there will be impacts. But I think that will be sector specific. That will be region specific, in the sense companies and sectors which have exposure to the Middle East in particular will obviously have some impact. But as I said, I hope that this is something that begins to resolve itself sooner rather than later. I mean, just to give you an example, if you look at air traffic that had completely stopped for 2 or 3 days, but now the UAE has announced an air corridor with limited number of flights. So I think everybody is looking to figure a way out so that it's not a binary that it's on or off. There will be some impact the longer this goes on, but it's from a completely sort of a shutdown reaction in the first 2 or 3 days to gradually picking up. I think that's what gives me hope that the conflict doesn't last too long, and even within that overall setup there, you don't see a complete freeze of trade and commerce.
Mr. Panda, just trying to get a sense of, and like you said, for you, there is not too much of an impact because the Far East will have more bearing. But for the industry as a whole, and especially if crude prices continue on the trajectory they are, what are the pain points that you see?
So look, crude, going above a certain level and staying there for a sustained period, I think definitely has an impact. We all know that. But the government has come out with a clarification yesterday that we have adequate reserves in terms of both, fuel, whether it's petrol or diesel or other things. So I think India is well covered from a variety of aspects, whether it's crude, whether it's foreign exchange reserves, all of that. I think India is a very, very resilient economy. So I don't see a short-term impact. The concern, of course, and it's not India specific. It has a significant impact globally if this were to drag on.
Let me ask now, and thank you so much for answering so patiently all the questions that we had on the ongoing situation. As you would appreciate, in the news business, you focus on what is prevailing. But let me ask about the acquisition. Now that it is complete, what is the timeline that you have on integration, Mr. Panda, and how will that work on the financials as well?
So let me give you a quick update first. As you know, our current output is broadly in the 250 to 260,000 tons per annum range. In fact, as far as FY26, which closes shortly, we are looking to produce about 265,000 tons of ferrochrome from our existing facilities. Now, what we are looking at from the acquisition is 100,000 tons. There are 4 furnaces adding up to 66 MVA, which are good to go. We took control of the unit on the 27th of February. We are looking to start up by the middle of the month. And honestly, what we will get in terms of output in March is going to be minimal, but we will scale up output in Q1 of FY27. And of course, towards the end of Q1, we are also looking to commission the first of our greenfield project furnaces. So as you had put up in one of the slides, from 260 odd thousand tons in FY26, we are expecting to produce about 400,000 tons in FY27, and going up further to between 475 to 500,000 tons in FY28. So that's literally a doubling of, or close to a doubling of output. But the key to profitability and the key to the impact, the positive impact on the bottom line, is the fact that we are correspondingly increasing our ore raising. So as against roughly 725,000 tons of chrome ore raising from our captive mines in FY25, that's going up to 850,000 tons in FY26. And for the coming financial year, FY27, we are targeting 1 million tons or 10 lakh tons. That's, of course, a significant milestone in itself. But more importantly, it allows us to cater to our entire requirement from our captive mines, which obviously is a very big positive in terms of margins. And in terms of pricing, what you are seeing right now is prices are a little elevated given both cost pressures, which of course doesn't impact us because we have captive mines, but cost pressures as well as stainless steel, which is where ferrochrome is consumed, has been growing at about 2 to 3%. which is slightly tepid, but that's enough to keep prices elevated. So in Q3, we saw EBITDA margins around 23%. And we expect that to be there and thereabouts in the ongoing quarter, and as well as looking into the first quarter of FY27.
Okay, interesting. So you've already laid out quite a few of the benefits that will accrue. Just a quick follow-up on that, Mr. Panda, with regard to this new plant, the EBITDA per ton, are you comfortable sharing what the rough trajectory of that will be?
So yes, certainly, broadly what we this is not guidance. Let me be very clear. But what we broadly look at is roughly about 18,000 rupees a ton in terms of EBITDA. At the moment, it is a little elevated, as I said, because of prices. But more importantly, something that I need to add as well, that both the Kalinganagar facilities, which is the greenfield as well as the acquisition, are logistically very competitive because they're closer to the mines, closer to the port, closer to stainless steel consumers in Kalinganagar and elsewhere in Odisha itself. So when we get the facilities up and running, which is by next calendar year, the blended average EBITDA margins are expected to increase for the company as a whole, because we are producing more ferrochrome in logistically friendly locations. And of course, there are operational synergies as well, because the greenfield and the acquisition, both the units are literally located within 500 meters of each other. So tremendous administrative and operational synergies besides the logistical advantage.
Okay. Mr. Panda, great to have you today, and in your capacity as somebody who understands India Inc. so well, thank you so much for that perspective as well as what's happening with IMFA. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. That's Shubhakant Panda, ex-chair of FICCI as well, and of course heads IMFA, and great perspective on what's happening currently. Okay, a new listing, I believe, also slated and just happened, so keep that in mind. But while we are talking about all of that, maybe we'll just get the listing up, PNGS Reva, about a 3.5% discount, 2% discount. Not too bad, considering how the markets are behaving currently. It's almost mirroring the Nifty fall, if you will.
Yeah, it's a diamond jewelry business.
Yeah.
So anyway, I think a tough space.
Yeah, and PN Gadgil business, essentially it is.
Yeah.
The parent is PN Gadgil.
Yeah, so just under the Reva brand, they've hived it off.
Yeah.
Diamonds going through their own funk right now with LGD, etc. But yeah, okay, not bad for a morning.
Yeah. Not bad for a morning.
So turbulent.
Exactly. Well put. Okay, more news and updates, and government sources have told NDTV Profit that India remains in a comfortable position on energy security, even as the situation in the Middle East evolves fairly rapidly. Danish Johnson with the details. Danish.
Well, that's correct. Top government sources have told NDTV Profit that as far as India's energy security is concerned, things are on a very bright and positive side right now. If we look at the overall inventory of crude that India has, and if we also include the products, by that I mean petrol and diesel, we are good for the next 6 to 8 weeks. And if we do another further breakup of this, if we look at the crude inventory is in a good position between 3 to 4 weeks. And if we look at the inventory of products, petrol and diesel, even over here we are seeing that we are good for 3 to 4 weeks. Besides that, as far as LNG and LPG is concerned, top government sources are telling NDTV Profit that even on this end there is a lot of comfort, so we don't have to get stressed or feel anxious about whatever is happening in the Middle East, as India's energy security remains strong at the moment. And as far as Russian crude is concerned, sources have told NDTV Profit that India continues to import crude from Russia. These are not the new contracts, but these are the old contracts that the companies had signed with the Russian company. So from that source as well, we are getting crude. But if we look at the questions around the Strait of Hormuz, India imports only 40% of its crude from the Strait of Hormuz, and 60% of the crude that we get from other sources, it comes from other places. So even if a Strait of Hormuz gets shut someday, India is very much sure ensure that it will not impact our energy security, as we have enough reserves, not only in the form of crude, but also in the form of products that we have at the moment. So all in all, if we see, India does not need to get anxious as far as crude and petrol and diesel products are concerned, because things are very bright and things are on the bright side, as we have ample of reserves as well as ample of products.
Okay, I don't know if things are very bright and on the bright side, but definitely nothing to panic right now. The markets are continuing to show some amount of fear and panic, if you look at it. About 1.5–2% down on the Nifty, but the Kospi is where the pain point is. 8% down, Nikkei also about 3.5% down. So if I look at it in relative terms, and we'll pull up the Nifty before we head into that very short break, we are still okay, but 2% down right now, 533 points. 24,334. We've broken that 24,400 mark. Can we see some bounce back? Big plunge after we opened up as well. Very short break. On the other side, we speak to Kansai Nerolac Paints Praveen Chaudhary, and the big conversation on Talking Point with Vikas Khimani of Carnelian Asset Management. Stay tuned.
True love is lifelong, isn't it? Just like Tata Power Solar Roof, best quality solutions, lifelong service guarantee and unmatched expertise. Ye on the quality lifelong.
हाथ, ये जो हाथ है ना, सिर्फ लकड़ी ही नहीं, हमारा कल भी तराशते हैं। बंद हो या हो कोई स्ट्राइक, इनका शटर हमेशा खुल जाता है। इन हाथों का यही तो आपसे नाता है, और इन्हें हम आसानी से लोन देकर अपना फर्ज निभाते हैं। कैप्री लोन्स फर्ज निभाते हैं।
The stage that brings together India's most compelling creative voices.
NDTV का क्रिएटर मंच है,
where stories are shared, ideas are exchanged, and culture takes center stage.
जब डेट पे हमला होगा तो सब एक। आजकल चल क्या रहा है सिचुएशनशिप, आपको पता क्या होता है? कभी मैं कह नहीं पाया।
It's okay यार।
NDTV Creators Munch, where creative India comes together.
हो सकता है ये कहानी बन जाए और क्रिएटर्स मंच के नाम से किसी दिन मैं रिलीज कर दूं।
2 powerful days, 14th–15th March, Sundar Nursery, New Delhi.
The year was quite a difficult one. I think ease of doing business is not equal to more risk. I think we should not really club the whole thing as an F&O and F&O volatility without really getting into where the problem is. We should not jump to,
Welcome back. You're watching India Market Open, and Kansai Nerolac in focus for multiple reasons. Of course, the big picture is that crude oil prices have gone pretty high as things stand right now, and there is an implication for paint companies. It has recovered from the low point of the day, but the other significant development is that it has received shareholder approval for the merger of Nerofix with the company. The approval came at the NCLT convened meeting of equity shareholders, marking a key step in the amalgamation process. We will be speaking to the management about that and more, but first let's set things up with a conversation with Mahima. Mahima, what stands out here? What is this key development about?
Right, so Alex, as you mentioned, right, lots happening with the company, and like you correctly mentioned, NCLT had convened a meeting of equity shareholders on 27th of Feb, where they approved the amalgamation of Nerofix Private Limited, which is its wholly owned owned subsidiary. The other aspect that you talked about, because of war, we're seeing increase in crude prices. So it's important to understand as of now as to, what inventory they're sitting on, and going forward, how will this impact margins if they have to, if this continues and the crude prices go higher. The third aspect here is also that recently the promoter met in Japan and discussed India business, where, the management had sharply defined the roadmap for all of its operations for non-auto industrial coatings, accelerated growth of 10% per annum for next 5 years, for auto and finish coatings, where they have a dominant position in terms of market share, to grow around 5 to 7% per annum. Decorative paints, they've said around 2 to 4% growth is what they're expecting. And overall, they've said that they are not planning to divest the decorative business in near future. And they're also expecting a 200 basis point increase in margins also on account of operational efficiencies as well as premiumization, and no further capex plan. So lots happening with the company, and it will be important to understand, of course, the impact of rising crude prices on the margins as well.
Got it. All right, Mahima, thanks so much for getting us those details. Praveen Chaudhary, Managing Director at Kansai Nerolac Paints, joining us this morning. Thanks so much for taking the time, Mr. Chaudhary. And it behooves us, we have to ask this question at the start, because there's so much that has occurred over the course of the last few hours as well. Crude oil prices, major input for you. What are the implications in the near term? Mr. Chaudhary, if you can hear.
Thank you for having me. So crude oil obviously So crude oil is very integrated with the paint industry, and likewise for Kansai also. But if you look at our past 2 decades or 3 decades of experience, we had many such events in the past also, and I think company could resiliently pull through that kind of event. Now, likewise here also we are watching situation very closely. Obviously, there will be some implications as far as crude and their derivatives are concerned. But as far as we are concerned, we are well poised with our inventory levels and obviously supply capability. So in short term, I don't see any big problem. Of course, we'll have to be watchful in terms of the development that are taking place going forward.
Just a quick follow-up on that, Mr. Chaudhary. In the short term, of course, you're insulated, relatively speaking, I would assume, because of inventories, etc., as you pointed out. Is there the ability from both yourself as well as the industry to pass on increases in input prices? And is this normally something that takes place, or do you anticipate that there could be margin pressure?
So as far as if you look at the line of business, decorative business, obviously pass-through is possible, which is always done. In case of industrial, also pass-through happens now, but of course with slight lag, maybe a quarter or so. But pass-through definitely happens, and we're happy that all our relationships with the customer ensured that in both downward as well as upward cycles, I think we respect each other's sentiments towards pricing and profit margins, and I think that is honored.
So Chaudhary, you have laid out a vision for a 200 basis point improvement in margins, and you recently had this investor analyst meet in Japan as well. Does that now seem a little more difficult with where the trajectory of crude prices is going? And are you also facing any kind of supply chain restriction because of what's happening in the Strait of Hormuz?
Yeah, so it's too early actually. It's only 3 days, I would say, when these developments are now picking up to a level where we should be start thinking about it. But I think our past experience post-COVID actually has taught us lots in terms of how to deal with this logistic disruption for long term also. And we have built a lot of backup plans in terms of changing our sourcing strategies, and there are a lot of Indianization, localization that has also happened. So I'm confident we are far better prepared this time in terms of handling this. However, as things will develop, I'm sure we'll have to keep refining our strategy and try to meet our overall objectives that we've set.
But just on the point about supply chain restrictions that you see because of Strait of Hormuz, what is the dependency here? What is the exposure to the Gulf region for you and your business?
From Gulf, there's no direct exposure. I think it is mainly related to oil and the disruption that might get caused to derivatives, but there's no direct exposure as of now that we see from there.
Let's talk about the Nerofix merger. this approval has come through. What is the integration process? What are the timelines and what are the implications, Mr. Chaudhary?
Yeah, so Nerofix is a company we acquired 6 years back, and it's in the business of adhesives, both retail as well as industrial, and also construction chemical. And as far as timeline is concerned, we're anticipating it's about 6 to 9 months. I think it should take on a higher side. And the process, it has 2 plants, and obviously there'll be, because of this amalgamation, there'll be a lot of leveraging of fixed assets and fixed costs that can be done. And I think the biggest synergy, I would say, will be from the front of channel, because we have in the Nerolac, we have a wood coatings also, which obviously deals with the furniture making, and whereas Nerofix deal it from the adhesive side. So given our presence in decorative in the wood finish arena, where we deal with many architects, furniture makers, OEMs, I think that synergy should be quite a good fit. And also looking at industrial side, where we are anyway having larger than 50% exposure as a company, Nerolac company, there also I think we'll be able to leverage our strength and channel partnerships to also push this industrial adhesives. And Nerofix has a fairly large industrial adhesive range also. So I think that will come handy in terms of leveraging it. Now, as far as this amalgamation logic is concerned, I think this is also part of range filling when it comes to my decorative business. Because I think when we deal with carpenters for wood finish, I think there is also this backward possibility of having this getting pushed. So some bit of range completion exercise will also come, and larger solutioning aspects, so that the one integrated player coming to market and trying to offer end-to-end solution. So I think that's the whole thought behind this. And I think last year, Nerofix has performed very well. So I think that gives us confidence that, there is further upward trajectory that is likely to be seen going forward.
Okay. Mr. Chaudhary, just trying to understand if there is now going to be a larger focus on industrials, or are you looking at autos? What is your top priority right now? Will it be decorative, industrials, auto? Where are you seeing the best margins and best opportunities?
Yeah. So given that Nerolac already had a significant presence in auto and followed by industrial, and of course decorative was always a large block, close to 50 to 55%. But given the current market dynamics and the way things are in decorative market, I think while we are trying to obviously protect our strongholds in the market where we are strong, and obviously protect our market share, but it is also important now that given the government push on the infrastructure side and amount of infrastructure spend happening, we are seeing phenomenal growth in the industrial area also. So auto will obviously continue to dominate. And if you look at auto also, all automakers are projecting they're doubling their capacity in the next 5 to 6 years, also backed by the great confidence of export that is happening out of India. So I think auto will be on its track where we are anyway number one. So I think that model we have perfected, we should be doing great there. But the third piece which now we are over-indexing is on this industrial front, which is infrastructure related idea. Now, why that is also important? Because as premiumization is also happening there, where every client of ours asking for higher performance warranties, global technology is now coming in the play. And I think in India also there are fairly limited global players who can offer this global technology with approvals and specifications proven in the past. So I think that's the play we are sensing is going to be very interesting, and we'll be over-indexing on those areas. And that is why third pillar of industrial, which consists of powder coating and performance coating, will be a large focus area for us.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Chaudhary, for coming in today and answering all of our questions. Whichever way you turn, there is a sector which is impacted by what's happening in the Middle East, one way or the other. There might be very few really that are not, but even those are getting hit in the markets today. One would think that private banks, what is the connection there? But you're seeing private banks among the top losers. Having said that, war-driven disruptions and rising transit costs are also set to hit Indian pharma exports just as the industry enters a crucial shipping month. Freight, insurance and rerouting costs are spiking, and US-bound consignments are already facing delays. Nimit Dixit joins in for more details. Nimit.
Hi, yes, as you said, that freight costs, insurance prices and rerouting costs are also hitting the pharma sector, which is already reeling from Trump tariffs, especially Indian pharma exporters, who 65% of all Indian pharma export is done through the Suez Canal. And what is happening now is there's one part that's going through the sea, there's another part that's going through the air. These are controlled substances. Now, controlled substances are specifically controlled by the government and there's specific permits for these. Now, as Dubai being a specific air route, as some leaders in the industry tell me, that they have to now scramble to find alternate routes. The bigger problem for them is that their routes are inbuilt into these permits, because of which now they'll have to get the permit altered to get the route altered, and that's going to take a little bit of time. The IDMA, the Indian Drug Manufacturing Association, says that this is going to cause short-term escalation in costs for everything moving westward, which is 65% of our industry. They also say that there's going to be a disruption in supply chain because of a lack of scheduling that is taking place because of the conflict in the Middle East. Now, to put this in perspective for you, 30 billion worth of Indian pharmaceuticals were exported in FY 2025. 5 to 8% of this is freight cost. Because of this increase in freight costs, industry experts say conservatively that the jump will be at least 20% in transit costs. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much for that, Nimit. So pharmaceutical exports is another pain point that could emerge in some time, and maybe the focus on it hasn't been so clear thus far, but that will also see supply chokes and actually export route chokes. Vikas Khemani joining in this morning. He's founder and CIO of Carnelian Asset Management and Advisors. Vikas, a very good morning to you. Are you seeing some silver linings in what is happening right now, or is this truly a period of pain that will continue for some time from the Indian perspective?
This is, of course, uncertain times, global uncertainty, and I think taking a call on, how the war or the conflict will, how long it will go and what shape it will take would be probably, difficult. But I do believe that till the time this continues, it will be with an uncertain situation, and it will create, of course, cost for companies, businesses. Short-term disruptions, it could cause some sort of margin pressure, different industries. So I think, and we've seen whenever these kind of periods come, we saw Ukraine war in 2022, quarter or so was a very heightened uncertainty, and then of course it started settling down. So I do think probably this can be a little shorter given the structure, but who knows? That's just a kind of guess. But the way situation is panning out, you have to watch out every single day. But for India perspective, I guess the biggest thing is the oil price, which we have to watch out. So far, it does not look alarmingly high, but who knows? We'll have to keep close watch on things, how they pan out.
Got it. Vikas, good morning. You rightly said that sometimes times are unpredictable, but the question therefore is, do you pay heed to perceptibly attractive valuations currently? Or is there a time for attractive valuations to be acted upon as well?
So Neeraj, I think, the way, these are the best times if you ask me to do stock picking, because right now most of the stock prices don't necessarily, go up or down based on the fundamentals, but based on the short-term news flow and, and the fear. And those are the times when you can sit back and say, look, here is the stock that I've been monitoring. It does not change big time in the case of any, war from structural perspective. Those are the best times. I mean, the classic example I give during the Ukraine war, during the tariff war time, I remember one of our portfolio company, Aditya Birla Capital, went down from 225 to 150, and it had no implication from tariff perspective. And today, in less than a year's time, the stock is up to 350 or so. So I think these are the kind of situation which offer definitely great ideas, opportunities from a stock picking perspective, and that's where one should keep focusing on.
Okay. So Vikas, it's a valid point. In which case, okay, my question would be: would you go in for, let's say, a predictable growth which might be not as cheap, versus maybe some of the stories that got damaged because of temporary reasons and might be available at a really good valuation. I mean, for example, energy transition theme, almost everything has been decimated despite the fact that the targets for 29, 2030, etc. stay, and it seems to be non-negotiable because India is on that path. So a lot of them have been really badly hit. How do you kind of put in incremental capital to work?
I think, again, you have to put capital to work with the sectors you are quite positive. The predictability of the growth is there in the near term or future term, in the future. And even if there's a short-term impact on the business because of the uncertainty, so be it. You have to overlook that. The sector you mentioned probably not corrected because of the current situation, but more because of the, I think, expectation of the oversupply in the market. I mean, that's my my sense. So there are different sectors. There would be sectors like, I think somebody was talking about that, let's say in banking, does not change structurally anything. From a long-term perspective, of course, for all, stock might go down a little bit, but if you like a particular bank or sector or company, you might look at, investing at this point in time, because if you overlook 6 months down the line, once the dust settles down, I'm sure the story will be back to the normal growth, India growth, which has no implication on the overseas conflict going on. So I think there would be many companies which have kind of either got impacted by the sentiment or got impacted by the business from a short-term perspective, but long-term doesn't change. Those are the businesses to be bought.
IT, are those one of the businesses to be bought that you would include? Because some love for IT today in a very bad day. Maybe that AI threat is looking less severe than the threat all other companies are facing in relative terms. But is there any kind of positive view there?
So I think IT, our view has been that, the current AI disruption may not be as bad as markets are making out to be from a long-term perspective. But yes, of course, all the companies have to go through the transition, change, adaptation, whatever needed to be done. And to that extent, right now, markets have kind of corrected significantly. And we have seen this time and again happening in many sectors. We are watching again there. The key thing will be which company you think will be able to adapt and come out on the other side better. Those are the companies to be betted upon. But yes, because IT sector corrected significantly in the previous in the recent past, and this particular event does not have as particular much impact on IT services, and only it helps in terms of a bit of a currency value, devaluation or currency weakness. And to that extent, I think we are finding it. But long-term question about the growth and which company would come out winner has to be kind of tested, checked out. And we're doing our work on that. We own some stocks, but we are underweight still. At some point in time, as and when we get convinced about which companies are going to be winner, we will be kind of increasing our stake there.
Vikas, we'll have to leave it there. Thank you so much for joining in, and we hope to speak to you soon. Hopefully, things will settle down earlier than later. Vikas Khemani there saying spot long-term potential and keep that conviction. These reports now on the flash also a little worrisome, I would say, Neeraj, because the Iran Guard coming and saying we have complete control of the Hormuz Strait. And in light of the conversation we had also earlier, I mean, even if you have max coverage insurance and you've paid a risk premium for it, who is going to sail through?
Yeah, if you were a captain, would you?
No, I mean, I can't even envision it. But no, I don't think anyone can, anyone will.
Agreed.
There is no way till this gets resolved that it happens. And this is something we've always talked about possibly happening. Now it seems like it is.
It seems that the playbook is that they want to ensure that energy costs spiral out of hand for everybody else to come up and say, let's end this conflict soon.
You know what that's telling me is that this is a well-thought strategic hit back.
Yes.
It's not an out of anger, indiscriminate, let's bomb everything.
Yeah.
They are going after industrial complexes. They're going after Gulf countries, which will be more vulnerable. They're going after crude prices, causing enough pain around the world so that everyone gets dragged into this. And it's not restricted just between Iran, Israel, and the United States. That's really the worry. We'll take a very short break. That's all the time we have on India Market Open. It's been a very eventful morning, but stay tuned. All the action continues on the other side with Ask Profit.
love is lifelong, isn't it? Just like Tata Power Solar Roof, best quality solutions, lifelong service guarantee and unmatched expertise. ये on the quality lifelong.
ये हाथ केवल हल नहीं चलाते, मिट्टी से सोना उगाते हैं। ये हाथ केवल सिलाई नहीं करते, देश को नया रूप देते हैं। ये हाथ लोगों को उनकी मंजिल तक पहुंचाते हैं और इन्हें हम आसानी से लोन देकर अपना फर्ज निभाते हैं। कैप्री लोन्स फर्ज निभाते हैं।
The stage that brings together India's most compelling creative voices.
NDTV का क्रिएटर मंच है
Where stories are shared, ideas are exchanged, and culture takes center stage.
जब देश पे हमला होगा तो सब एक। आजकल चल क्या रहा है सिचुएशनशिप, आपको पता क्या होता है? कभी मैं कह नहीं पाया।
इट्स ओके यार।
NDTV Creators Munch, where creative India comes together.
हो सकता है ये कहानी बन जाए और क्रिएटर्स मंच के नाम से किसी दिन मैं रिलीज कर दूं।
2 powerful days, 14th-15th March, Sundar Nursery, New Delhi.
The year was quite a difficult one. I think ease of doing business is not equal to more risk. I think we should not really club the whole thing as an F&O and F&O volatility without really getting into where the problem is. We should not jump to, kill the markets.
After the roaring success in Delhi, Hyderabad and Mumbai, the NDTV DP World PGTI Golf Pro-Am now travels to Ahmedabad. India's finest professionals, the city's most accomplished business leaders. Great golf, great company. NDTV DP World PGTI Golf Pro-Am. The course of champions, the conversation of leaders. 8th March, Kalhar Blues and Greens, Ahmedabad.
Money, fame, dirty money, fame. Spending millions every day, but I still the same. Ganti baji, jingle, 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 jingle. Bas aaj ka jingle, 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 jingle. Chal kare thode single, 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 single. Kyunki tu hai single, 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 single. Baby, I'm your Santa.
First India tour in your city. Rag on with Shankar Ehsan Loy and Siddharth Mahadevan and Shivam Mahadevan. 5 times melody, 5 times masti with NDTV Good Times. Go grab your tickets.
Alright team, our new order show is ready. Now we need a promo. Something cool, something sharp.
Well, I'm sure we'll be having outstanding reviews, solid suggestions,
The expert advice, the latest trends. It's a lot.
Hello and welcome back to NDTV Profit. You're watching Ask Profit, a show that solves all your stock related queries, and on a day like this it becomes very, very important. So do start sending them on the numbers that are flashing on the top of the screen. You can also call us for your stock related query as well. My name is Puneet Zaveri. With me as always is Mahima Chajani, and we'll try and get your queries solved very, very quickly. So start sending them. It's an important day. The Sensex down almost 1400 points as we speak, and we continue to have the stress from the global perspective very visible on the index. At 78,000, the Nifty 50 also at 24,400. It's a figure that we haven't spoken too much about, and very important levels as well. The lows on the budget day was 24,600, and we saw some buying from that level, and we are back at considering those levels as well. So what was earlier in support at around 25,000 has now become the resistance level, and continue to monitor all of these key levels. When you look at the heat map for the Nifty 50, there is devil in the details as well, because you continue to see pressure yet again on last year in Tubro. Almost 37% of its order book coming in from the Middle East, 55% of it is fixed price, so there could be some impact on margins. Unfortunately, the metal names are also not supporting the Nifty 50, so Tata Steel is down in trade today. Indigo continuing to be under pressure. Tata Motors PV, we were flashing that the The data from Jaguar as well as Land Rover is very weak in the month of January and continues to be under pressure as well. Ultratech down 4% back at the 12,000 mark. Grasim, SBI Life, Titan, Max Health all down in trade today as well. So you're almost seeing 43 stocks in the red, and the ones in the green are also not too high, only between 0 to 0.5 are almost 5 stocks there. So almost 48 stocks, not rather just in under pressure, flat or in red. And you also look at the sectoral heat map. It'll give you that perspective. The Nifty auto, which was under pressure on Friday, has continued to be relatively under pressure today as well, down 2.8%. Maybe profit booking from a lot of investors where they've made money trying to limitate or mitigate their losses at this point of time. The metal index down almost 4%. PSU Bank, Realty, Media all down in red. So essentially with Nifty IT, which is barely in the green round and was at up almost 0.5%, has also given up those gains. But Mahima, broader markets also showing you that pain today.
Yeah, I mean, look at that. Except for defense, all the sectors are down over that 1% mark, and that's not something that you see every day, right? So that's, I mean, it's just bloodbath in the markets for sure. But the mid cap 150 and the small cap 250 as well. The mid cap 150 is down over 2%. The small cap 250 also down over 2%. So underperforming the benchmarks by a bit. Let's try to quickly pull up the BSE 500 because it's also a very stock specific market, and also the advanced decline ratio if we can, because the other day we saw that picture of 200 odd advances. Today it's around 330, but the picture still does not look good because that graph is widening by the hour. So that is concerning. The BSE 500 quickly because a lot of stocks that are under pressure, some stocks kind of making up for the pressure. Tejas Networks today also up about 4 odd %. Praj Industries, Sri Renuka. So sugar as a theme is doing fairly well. Polymedicure also up by about 4 odd %. But on the flip side, I mean, look at that. Rain Industries as well as Petronet LNG both down 10% each, followed by MGL, L&T, Tata Steel, SAIL. So two Nifty 50 names in that BSE 500 as well. So that's the mood of the market right now. But with that, let's also welcome in our guest for the day, Vaishali Parekh, Vice President, Technical Research at Prabhudas Lilladher Capital, and Avinash Gorakshakar, Founder and Head of Research at Avinash Mental Research Services, joining us now. Vaishali, before I quickly go on to the questions that we have, your quick view on the markets right now. What is the support and resistance that now you will be marking now that we are below the 24,500 levels as well?
Very good morning, all of you. So yes, market has shown a good downside move. So technical support to an extent can come towards 24,200 to 24,000 levels. But if these levels also break, then I think I wouldn't be surprised market going towards 23,000 also. So it's a wait and watch scenario. Bias is corrective. Bank Nifty also showing erosion. So I think overall it's a corrective thing. But 24,000 level on a broad base is the level to watch.
Got that view, Vaishali, and guessing Vaishali will be very busy today with a lot of stock-related queries that we are getting, especially where the pain is. But the first question, it's very pertinent. Reliance Industries is the first one. Mohit from Ludhiana is actually asking this question, asking if it's actually advisable to buy into this counter right now. Avinash, good morning. Welcome to the show. Probably this counter is back in focus and given up a lot of those gains. So the momentum was just building in, and then we've seen this geopolitical impact on Reliance right now. You also seen the Jio IPO impending, some holding company discount coming in already. But how do you view Reliance right now? And is it advisable to enter this counter, is what Mohit is asking?
Yeah. Good morning, Puneet. See, I think Reliance Industries, the stock has got impacted largely because, oil prices have surged. Obviously Brent prices the way they are. Obviously, if there is a kind of a spike in oil prices, that means that there is definitely going to be some margin pressure for Reliance, although it's one of the most efficient and modern refineries. Our sense is that, in these prices, maybe in the short term, the volatility will continue till maybe a month's time. Our sense is that, this war possibly could get over in the next 25 to 30 odd days. And if it happens, then I think you're going to see a good bounce in Reliance. So I think, investors who have the kind of, appetite to take a little bit of risk can obviously chip in. I think they can probably buy a little bit of quantity at the current level and wait for things to clear. I think fundamentally nothing is wrong, but I think if oil prices continue to remain elevated above $85, $90 a barrel and this war continues for more than a month, then I think problems could further accelerate. So I think net one should hold on. Fresh buying is only advisable for investors who can take a 12 to 15 month call. I think these short term uncertainties will definitely clear away, but in the longer term, I think the structural story seems to be quite solid.
All right, so that's the view coming in on Reliance. We've got our first caller for the day. Kishore is calling us from Bengaluru. Kishore, hi, a very good morning to you. How can we help you?
Hi, Mahima. Very good morning and happy Holi to you.
Thank you so much.
I have a question on...
Wishing you the same as well.
Yes, thank you very much. So I have a query on the TARL. So recently I heard the conversation from the management as well, and the comments from the management was excellent. I also looked up the fundamentals before I purchased the stock. PE is very good and attractive. Valuation seems to be amazing, and the order book is almost 2 times the market cap. But I'm worried about the legal issues what the company is facing. So I'm wondering what's the future outlook for, let's say, 2 to 3 years.
Okay, Kishore, got your question, and I really appreciate that you've done your research so well. So kudos to that. Avinash, I'll take this up with you. His concerns are valid. What's your viewpoint from a slightly long-term perspective for TARL?
I think in this market, the market does not look at fundamentals; they look at more on the sentiment side. And I think, despite the fact that I think there are some legal issues pending, the most important thing is transformers as an industry is growing very rapidly. There's a huge pent-up demand for transformers, and we have come to know that almost every transformer player is operating at peak level capacity. So demand is growing. So I think in the near term, these factors could play an overhang on the stock. But if the investor has a 12 to 18 month kind of time frame, then I think he needs to hold on. In fact, he can even average at the current levels because it's a good company, a good management which is able to scale up the business. So I think continue to hold, but yes, take a long term view.
Got it. Got the view, Avinash. Now it's a difficult time that we're going through, but it's also one that company has listed today. PNGS Rewa Diamond actually listed at a 4% discount, making a softer debut. And we had a chance to speak to the management of the company. Let's very quickly listen into what they had to say on their IPO listing, as well as what they are seeing going forward. Listen in.
My first question to you is that, largely these proceeds will be used for opening 15 new stores that you're aiming at. Give us some perspective as to how, the timeline is looking for adding all of these 15 stores, and what is the format going to be for these stores, and overall, when do you start expecting these to, start generating money as well for you?
So it will be mainly COCO kind of stores, company owned, company operated. And 15 stores will be in Maharashtra as well as in north part of the Maharashtra. Presently we have got SIS model working in 33 location of the PN Gadgil Sons Limited, our promoter company. One EBO is already there in Pune, and EBOs will create a brand awareness and footprint in the pan India. Secondly, there is a more inclination towards the studded jewelry nowadays. For last 2 years, we are observing that there is a larger number of people are getting attracted to the studded jewelry, and that studded is a natural diamond jewelry, which gets studded in the 18 karat or 14 karat of the gold with natural diamond. So that inclination, growing market for this diamond jewelry, we have planned to expand through the exclusive brand that is a Rewa Diamond, instead of going with the full-fledged 360-degree jewelry store. We concentrating on the diamond jewelry now.
Got it. Amit, the other aspect, right now, like you mentioned, I think out of 34 or 35 odd stores, almost 33 is SIS, that is shop in shop. Now, via adding these 15 new stores, you will, kind of become a little more independent and not depend on your parent company. Just wanted to understand that, let's say 2 or 3 years down the line, where does this 15 store number go to? How will the mix fare between, SIS as well as the company owned stores?
SI is a passive thing. So commenting exactly on its number is very difficult, but parent company generally set up 1 or 2 store every year, and so that SIS number will go up slowly. But this 15 number EBOs with existing 1 EBO, even if we keep present SIS as it is, it will be a share of 33-66%, and it depends how things gets on expanding or developing. So EBOs will definitely have almost a better half side of the entire organization and less dependency on the SI stores which are of the promoter company. But promoter companies, SI stores at present are doing extremely well, and they have got good SSG growth also, which we have seen from 24 to 25. So that SSG growth will improve the SIS top line, plus additional top line will come from these 15 stores. So there will be better top line, and if better top line is there, better bottom line also.
So that was the management of PNGS Reva Diamonds, the recent listing coming in, got listed at a discount of 3%, so not as bad as how the markets are doing right now, still down by about 3%. But with that, let's continue with the query. Sanjay is calling us from Gujarat. Sanjay, a very good morning to you. What is your query about?
A very good morning to you also.
Good morning,
and
Sanjay. Go ahead.
Happy Reliance to all your viewers and you.
Thank you, Sanjay. Wishing you the same.
Yeah. I have 154 shares of Arvind Limited at the rate 154. Holding from 22 2022. What can I do now? It's a deal of America is completed. The share is going up to 380 rupees. But then it is coming down and down. So what could I do? Sold or hold?
Got it, Sanjay. Got your question. I'll take this up with Vaishali quickly. Vaishali is sitting on significant profits because his buying price is 150. The stock is currently trading at 330, but it's come back from 380 is what he's saying. Do you think he should book his partial profits or maybe full profits or continue to hold?
Yeah, the fact is that in spite of a market like this, it's still holding on very well. But one never knows because of these geopolitical issues, how much more pain are we looking at. So better partial profit booking should be done at these levels. And if the stock falls again at around 310 to 290, you can again re-enter the stock.
Got that view, Vaishali. But the next question that's coming in is from Siju from Qatar, who is a regular viewer, and I hope everything's all good, Siju, at your end. He's currently holding 30 shares of CDSL, bought at 1244. And he's asking if it's a good time to average this, and since his horizon is almost 3 to 5 years, Avinash, would you recommend this?
Yeah, I think, Puneet, these are basically annuity businesses where, the business continues, because stock markets definitely will survive, and I think, transactions will happen. So CDSL is like a player which has got a virtual annuity kind of business model, not an asset heavy kind of business model. So I think if he's got this kind of time horizon, he can definitely add. But I think I would suggest, even if he wants to add, I think do it in a SIP way, because we don't know how the markets would perform going forward. And if at all there is a price drop even from current level, then he can average out, if he adopts a SIP approach.
Okay, all right. The next question that we have is from Venkat Ramani, who is writing us from Bengaluru, asking about Eternal. She's holding 1,000 shares at the levels of 218, wants to know if she can buy more or continue to hold this for the next 12 months. Vaishali, your view on the charts?
I would say Eternal has done with its correction. I don't see much of a downside from these levels. So I would say start accumulating from here on, at every dip. And I think you will see a good turnaround very soon.
Got that view, Vaishali. But the next question, it's on Bajaj Finserv, and Vanita Bala actually writing in from Kuwait, and I hope everything's good at her end also, because she's been a regular viewer of the show. She's holding 15 shares. She's not mentioned the buying price, but asking if it's a good time to accumulate this counter now. Vaishali, actually I'm going to stick with you, because stock went to 2100 and now has rebounded back to the 1800 mark. Would you advise a good time to accumulate this counter now?
Wait for a while, because right now it is at a make or break levels. 1850 is the support. So if we see a break in this, I think 1700 I would be comfortable to start buying. So if trading is not the idea, then I would say buy to 20 to 30% right now. And if it drops to around 1700 levels, I think add more.
Okay, all right. So that's the view on Bajaj Finserv. We've got our next caller. Benson is calling us from Mumbai. Benson, I hope I am pronouncing your name correctly. Go ahead and ask your query.
Yeah. You corrected my name correctly. So my query is on Enviro Infra Engineers. I purchased this almost a year ago at a 344 rate, and I purchased 1255 shares that time. But it has been going down since then. So just wanted to know your view on this.
Okay, I take this up with Avinash. Avinash is sitting on a loss of around 2.5 lakh rupees. What should he do on Enviro Infra?
I think, see, my guess is that he's probably purchased it at the peak level. The company has an order book of almost 3,500 crores. And I think, in the EPC business, especially the water business, the business has been consistently growing. So I think, the market sentiment has been bad, and that is why the stock has been beaten down. But I think fundamentals continue to be quite solid. So unless he gives a time horizon of, say, 12 to 18 months, and he averages his cost because he's almost 50% minus on his capital, unless and until that is done, one cannot expect a very decent risk reward. So I think start, accumulating slowly and try to reduce your average cost and keep a time frame of at least 12 to 18 months.
Got that view, Avinash. But the next question, it's a very pertinent one in today's context on Rain Industries. Now, Siva from Amravati is actually holding 10,000 shares of this company, bought at 178. Stock's trading at 128 now. So he's almost sitting at a loss of, unfortunately, almost 5 lakh rupees as we speak. Vaishali, he's actually mentioned specifically that he can hold only for 3 months. But what would you suggest for Rain Industries at this point of time? Is there any chance of it coming back, hopefully close to the buying price to reduce his losses or average down? What would you recommend?
Well, so the trend is really getting damaged. So keep now 125 as stop loss, because if we see a close below that, then this is going to trigger a further selling pressure. So it's better to book out if trading is the perspective. Keep stop loss of 125, because right now we've already seen good erosion. So in all likelihood, if market shows some signs of bounce back and we can see some retracement coming in, but otherwise the trend is getting weaker.
Okay, the next one is on Nestle. Nihal Mohandas from Mumbai is asking this question. He's holding 350 odd shares at the levels of 1150. Wants to know as to what price can he sell this counter at. Vaishali, I'll stick with you for this one. 35,000 of profit is what he's sitting on. What's the view like?
I would say continue holding, but keep a trailing stop loss of 1220.
Got that view, Vaishali. But the next question that's also coming in, and it's slightly more open-ended, and in today's market, what we are seeing, hence we are taking this question from Dhananjay. Avinash is actually asking that if in this volatile market, what can he do? Should he hold on or book profits or add investments? I know it's a very open-ended question, but we are seeing, the counters that have actually done well, Avinash, like auto, like metals, have started to see some pullback now. Investors may be booking profits. Would that be a strategy that you would recommend, Dhananjay, as well? What would you suggest?
No, I think, I think whenever you invest in these kind of drawdowns, the alpha creation is very solid. But I think it requires a little bit of time and patience. And I think investors who have a short-term view should not enter the markets. But investors who have got a 12 to 18 month kind of time frame, could look at buying large cap stocks like Mahindra and Mahindra, or for that reason, even something like a NSDL. These are businesses which are not going to be wiped out by short-term events. So I think, you've got to be a little more patient and a little more realistic when you talk about investments. In this market, when everything is going against you, it's only such kind of businesses which will do well. So I think keep a time frame of at least 12 to 18 months and invest in these kind of large cap, because these businesses are not going to get over. Business will come back as usual once the clarity happens, once the war ends. And I think that is something which the markets will obviously get a clear reflection. You'll see a very sharp bounce back in the markets once there's a clear signal that the war has ended.
Okay, all right. But just shifting focus for a bit and trying to understand as to what cues are shaping up in the F&O market. And we have Sharad joining us and standing by as always to give us that perspective. Sharad?
Well, we can see a big sell-off happening, and of course the large, you could say 200 DMA levels, and even you could say much more of the numbers are on the downtake, and there hasn't been any major change, still down 2% when it comes to Sensex. A sea of red coming in, but L&T and Tata Steel, that's where the concern is there. Ultratech, all these stocks in the red, barring Infosys and Tech Mahindra, which is there from the tech space. Only Bharti Airtel comes in the green, and BEL also there, but majority we see a sea of red coming in. No major Nifty. You could say the Sensex heavyweights actually not doing much. BankX also the story remains same. SBI is down almost 2.5%. ICICI Bank and Bank of Baroda also in the red as well. Let's look at the key long build-up. Largely nothing much. Coal India and solar industries, defense stocks is something where the street is finding some solace right now. Short covering for Jubilant Foodworks and Infosys. Just look at Infosys, not so much in Jubilant Foodworks. And long unwinding, let's see what's happening here. SAIL and IOC make it to the list, largely on the reactions coming from the Middle East tensions, and Tata Steel and Petronet LNG. That's where a big short build-up is happening. You should look at Petronet LNG, that's down almost 9%. So of course, the entire market is moving on the geopolitical tensions. Not much for stock-specific news flow today.
Thanks so much for that, Sharad. But time now for the rapid fire round in this edition of Fast Profit. Vaishali as well as Avinash, you know the drill. The first question that's coming in is from Manohar. He's asking, between NSDL and CDSL, what's a better long-term opportunity, Avinash?
I think CDSL would be a better choice.
Okay, the next one is from Lakshmi, is writing us from Hyderabad, asking if she can go ahead and invest 1 lakh rupees either in ICICI, Axis or HDFC. Avinash, which one would you pick?
I think ICICI Bank.
DCS system bought actually at 245 by Sriram. Should he continue to hold for the next 1 year, Avinash?
Yeah, he can continue to hold.
Muthoot Finance bought at the levels of 3153. Khurshid from Delhi wants to know if this is a good time to add more shares. Vaishali, your view?
Accumulate.
Aadhar HFC actually been held by Prakash at 324. Should he continue to hold, Vaishali?
Which one is that?
Aadhar Housing Finance.
Hold.
Okay, the next one is on Force Motors. Gauri Gupta wants to know if this is a good price to buy for the next 6 to 9 months. Vaishali, your view?
20,000 is a good support level. Buy accordingly.
Interglobe Aviation, Avinash, Rajesh Maheshwari, who's a regular viewer, is holding at 3730 over 100 shares. Should he book out, take his profit and come back at a later time?
So I think he should continue to hold.
Okay, Tata Steel. Is this the right time to buy for the next 2 years? Avinash, your view?
Yeah, I think around 180, 190 could be a good price to enter.
Is it a good time to enter Tata Chemicals and hold it for the long term, Avinash?
No, I think Tata Chemicals, I think one should wait for a couple of quarters. As of now, no buying advice.
Deep Industries is the next one. The viewers got 35 shares at the levels of 478. Jassi, by the way, is asking this question. Wants to know from an 8 to 9 month perspective, can he continue to hold? Vaishali, your view?
Hold.
Is it a good time to re-enter BSC for K Kumar? Is what K Guru actually is asking this question. He had earlier bought her at 3,100. Vaishali?
Accumulate.
Can I buy Paras Defense at the current level? Is the question that we have from one of our viewers. Vaishali, your view?
Buy.
Suman's holding DLF, bought at 608. Avinash, should he continue to hold?
Yeah, he can continue to hold.
Okay, the next one is on Tata Motors, commercial vehicles. Is this a good time to buy? Shankar from Bengaluru is asking. Avinash, your view?
Yeah, I think he could look at buying in an SIP way, but definitely buying advisable.
Apollo Microsystems bought at 238. Avinash, should our viewer continue to hold?
Yeah, she should continue to hold.
Okay, NTPC for the next 5 years. Is this a good hold, Avinash?
So I think in power generation, I think Tata Power or maybe something like a Torrent Power could be better.
Is it a right time to enter Suzlon, Vaishali?
Yes.
Is this the right time to enter Wipro? Is the question that's coming from Madesh, who's writing us from Tamil Nadu. Vaishali, your view?
I would say go on for persistent or things like that.
All right. Okay. Okay, so that's the view coming in on Wipro. But with that, viewers, that brings us to the end of first rapid fire round. But we'll take up more on the other side of the break. So do stay tuned.
True love is lifelong, isn't it? Just like Tata Power Solar Roof, best quality solutions, lifelong service guarantee and unmatched expertise. ये on the quality lifelong.
ये हाथ केवल हल नहीं चलाते, मिट्टी से सोना उगाते हैं। ये हाथ केवल सिलाई नहीं करते, देश को नया रूप देते हैं। ये हाथ लोगों को उनकी मंजिल तक पहुंचाते हैं और इन्हें हम आसानी से लोन देकर अपना फर्ज निभाते हैं। कैप्री लोन्स फर्ज निभाते हैं।
The stage that brings together India's most compelling creative voices.
एनडीटीवी का क्रिएटर मंच है
where stories are shared, ideas are exchanged, and culture takes center stage.
जब देश पे हमला हुआ तो सब एक
आजकल चल क्या रहा है सिचुएशनशिप आपको पता क्या होता है
कभी मैं कह नहीं पाया
इट्स ओके यार
NDTV Creators Munch, where creative India comes together.
हो सकता है ये कहानी बन जाए और क्रिएटर्स मंच के नाम से किसी दिन मैं रिलीज कर दूं।
2 powerful days, 14th-15th March, Sundar Nursery, New Delhi.
The year was quite a difficult one. I think ease of doing business is not equal to more risk. I think we should not really club the whole thing as an F&O and F&O volatility without really getting into where the problem is. We should not jump to, kill the markets.
First India tour in your city. Rug on with Shankar Ehsan Loy and Siddharth Mahadevan and Shivam Mahadevan. 5 times melody, 5 times masti with NDTV Good Times. Go grab your tickets.
Alright team, our new auto show is ready. Now we need a promo. Something cool, something sharp.
Well, I'm sure we'll be having outstanding reviews, solid suggestions,
Expert advice, the latest trends. It's a lot simpler. We'll help people make the right auto decisions. It's got the cool stuff, geeky stuff, serious stuff, all of it, so that you can discover, decide and drive. I'm Siddharth Sharma and I am your automate.
After the roaring success in Delhi, Hyderabad and Mumbai, the NDTV DP World PGTI Golf Pro-Am now travels to Ahmedabad. India's finest professionals, the city's most accomplished business leaders. Great golf, great company. NDTV DP World PGTI Golf Pro-Am. The course of champions, the conversation of leaders. 8th March, Kalhar Blues and Greens, Ahmedabad.
Money, fame, dirty money, fame.
Welcome back. You're watching Ask Profit right here on NDTV Profit. The next question that's coming in is on ITC. Now, our viewer Madhav from Hyderabad is holding 133 shares at 364. So he's currently sitting on a loss, asking a long-term view. Avinash, the theme likely a little changed now, right? It's more like a defensive play now in this wartime that we are seeing. Do you think that still doesn't make the cut given what we see in the industry, the increase in tax rates? What would you recommend right now?
No, I think Puneet, at these levels, the downside for ITC looks almost discounted in the price, and I think the company has also taken some price hikes, so that also could possibly help them regain their margins, possibly not in the March quarter, but at least in the April to June quarter. So my suggestion is that he needs to hold on for the next 12 to 18 months. This is a defensive play, and in this kind of market offers a little better protection as compared to the other alpha, high beta names. So definitely hold on, but I think he could also average if he wants, but take a 12 to 18 month view.
Okay, so that's a constructive view coming in for ITC. But we've got our next caller. Geeta is calling us from Bengaluru. Geeta, hi. A very good morning to you. What's your query about?
Yeah, I'm holding Anantaraj 61 shares at the rate of 518.
Okay.
So is it good time to add more? This is for a long term, maybe 1.5 years or so. So can it give a good returns in long period?
Sure. I'll ask your question to Avinash. Avinash, everything, all buzz going around data centers has, kind of made this stock pretty volatile. What's the view like?
No, I think, investors who invest in this stock, I think, need to take a slightly longer term view. The stock has been under pressure. But one thing is very clear that this is one of those rare companies which has got a mix of real estate and data center business. On the data center business, they are putting up a 300 megawatt data center capacity in North India. And I think demand is growing very rapidly. The government has also announced that by 2047, these centers could get tax benefits. So my sense is that if the investor, buys in at the current level, which is currently weak, he needs to take at least a 12 to 18 month or maybe a 2-year view, because data center business is going to grow rapidly. In the short term, there could be volatility, but in the longer term, the business fundamentals continue to be very rock solid.
Got that view, Avinash. But the next question that we're getting is on HAL, another stock that's been down and out in that sense. And Vinayak actually writing in from Dubai. Hope all is well, Vinayak, at your end as well. Is holding shares at 4120. Now, Vaishali, he's already holding 30 shares, asking if he should add more at this juncture. Would you recommend that trade?
No, I would say so, because HAL technically 3800, 3500 is a very good support band. So I would say that yes, a lot of erosion has taken place. Start buying from here at every dip.
Right, so that's the view coming in on HAL. We've got our next caller. Ajay is calling us from Mumbai. Ajay, what's your question about?
My question is about Sai Life Sciences.
Okay.
I've taken 300 shares and I'm looking forward to accumulate. Is it a good share? Because I find a good chart structure of this share and as well as fundamentally it's very sound. I would like to have both technical and fundamental view on this.
Okay, I'll take this up with Vaishali first. Vaishali, your view on the charts?
Yes, of course, chartically it looks very promising and already gone high. So I would not be so very aggressive to buy at these levels, but I would rather wait for a dip. Maybe around 900 level, that would be making me feel comfortable to, if long term is the perspective, and look for higher targets because the trend is very good.
Got that. Sorry, you are.
Yeah, Avinash, any view on this one? Because he wanted a fundamental view as well.
Yeah, I think here, unless the investor is a long-term investor and can take the volatility in his stride, I don't think in the short term the stock has got any near-term trigger. But yes, if we can hold on for the next, say, 18 to 24 months, a couple of years, I think then a decent risk reward can be expected.
Got that view, Avinash. But, Aarti Industries is another counter that we're focusing on, and Akshay from Mumbai is holding 45 shares of this counter, bought at 462. Now, Avinash, actually, let me come back to you on this one. Been a volatile counter in that sense. What would you recommend for Aarti Industries at this point of time?
No, again, it's a long-term kind of call, Puneet. I think, these kind of companies have got a very solid order book, very good revenue visibility. But in the light of the, the geopolitical kind of tensions, there is a possibility that in the short term, the stock could underperform. But yes, in terms of fundamentals, I think the chemical sector is turning around. They have a very good large order book. So I think one can take a long-term view, provided one can face the volatility in the short term.
Okay, the next one is from Ishwar, who's writing us from Kolkata, asking about Avanti Feeds. He says he's a long-term investor, wants to know if he can go ahead and invest in this counter at the current level or some mid-cap stock, to build up his portfolio. Avinash, I'll stick with you for this one. Avanti Feeds or any other mid-cap stocks that you're liking right now?
No, I think Avanti Feeds is a good company, but at these levels, I think fresh buying is not advisable. I think we continue to be positive, Mahima, on the banks, specifically the PSU banks, something like a Canara Bank or maybe a Bank of Maharashtra. These businesses are more safer and less volatile. And I think it's business as usual in India. So I don't think, businesses or quarterly numbers for these companies are going to be impacted. So I think rather than putting your money on something which has got a large exposure on the US market, a Canara Bank at the current levels or maybe a Bank of Maharashtra would be definitely be good choices both for the short to medium term.
Avanti Fee is a very interesting counter in that sense because traded between 400 and 600 for almost 4 years till the FTA started to come, and since then a one-way rally for this counter. The 5-year chart of course reflects that, but the 1-year chart will tell you the real picture for Avanti Feeds as well. But another caller actually coming in from on Suzlon now, and Ram from Andhra Pradesh has this particular question. Ram, good morning, welcome to the show. Go ahead.
Good morning.
Good morning, Ram.
Now I am holding 20,000 shares of Suzlon at the rate of 48. Can I average at what rate I have to average this company?
And Ram, can you hold on to this counter for a little while, or are you looking to just average out to reduce your losses? So I can take that question then with Vaishali if it's a good time to average. Would that be okay?
Okay.
Vaishali, you had suggested, I think, the rapid fire round that it's an interesting one to look at now, but he's already holding 20,000 shares at 48, down almost a lakh and a half. What price can you look at to enter now?
So I would say technical support is at 36, 38 levels, and we are pretty much close to that. So if fundamentally the view matches, I think this is a good level to start buying again to lower down your cost.
Okay, all right. So that's the view coming in on Suzlon. We've got our next question from Mr. Kumar, who's writing us from Bengaluru, asking about L&T. He wants to know if he can, kind of know an entry price for this particular counter. Avinash, I'll come to you on this one because it has exposure to the Middle East to a lot of extent. To a lot of extent, it's been falling since the past, couple of days since the war news has come in. What should an investor do right now who's holding L&T, and do you think this is a price that one can enter into?
No, I think for an investor, L&T is a kind of a company which can give very good returns over the next, say, 12 to 18 months. So I think, the near-term volatility is something which investors have to obviously face in this market. So they should continue to hold. I don't think they should do any panic sell-off unless they require some emergency kind of funding. And as far as new buying is concerned, I think between 3,500 to 3,800, it could be a good level where one could start buying. I think one cannot predict the price exactly, but around 3,500 to 3,800 is a good level where one can start nimbling, maybe do a small SIP kind of buying approach. That would definitely give a better risk reward in the longer term.
Avinash, you don't expect any kind of margin impact because of the fixed nature of its orders, because that's been one of the key concerns, right? Because while the order book is more long-term in nature, there could be some impact because of the fixed-term nature of its contracts. Is that a concern that you feel, or is it something that the company's lineage provides confidence on?
No, I think some margin pressure, Puneet, will be there, but I think this will not be extended more than maybe a couple of quarters. Because the management is also very clear that they know how to ensure that how they recover their fixed costs. And I think once the sentiment changes, the geopolitical condition changes, I think you could see a good bounce back in this stock. But yes, 3,500 to 3,800 could be a good level to actually start nimbling. We exactly don't know what price the stock will finally settle down, but yes, 35 to 3,800 is a good buying area.
The next caller, dialing in from Shimla now, Vinesh has a stock query for us. Vinesh, good morning, welcome to the show. What's your query?
Sir, I have TCS 50 shares at 2791. And I want to have a long-term view of 1 to 1.5 years, whether I should hold or sell it now or add more at this level, level.
Got your question, Vinesh, but Avinash, a year and a half, given what's happening with IT now, might seem more short-term than long-term, right, at this point of time. But what would you recommend Vinesh to do? He's holding shares at 2791. Should he average down, continue to hold?
I think it's better to wait for maybe another quarter or so. I think we need to get a little bit of clarity as to how the company is positioning itself, considering now AI is very much talked about. So I think at these levels, it's better to hold, wait for the March quarter. And I think hopefully after the full year numbers are out, we could get better clarity. And I think probably that could be the right time to look into buying fresh into TCS.
Okay, all right, so that's the view on TCS. The next question is on MCX. Sunil from Pune is asking this question. He's got 60 shares. But he already has 60 shares, but he wants to know the right level to enter at from a short-term perspective and target and stop loss as well. Vaishali, of course, the stock has been buzzing on the back of, the crude futures and options volume coming in. But your view on the charts?
So to say, actually, it has not really damaged the trend. So even now, today, if we are looking at it, I think 2,400 acts as a very good support. So keep that as a stop loss and buy.
Got that view, Vaishali. But another caller now from Bengaluru, Vinod has a stock query for us. Vinod, welcome to the show. What's your question?
Yeah, I have Muthoot Finance 90 shares at the price 3,570.
Okay.
So we have to hold or at the book loss.
And Vinod, was this more of a long-term bet or a short-term bet?
Around 6 months.
Okay, got it. Vaishali, then I'll come to you for Muthoot Finance. Vinod's bought at 3,570. What should he do with this counter now?
So I would say, of course, the trend is damaged, but I think 3,200 is a level to watch for. Can probably, because overall, if you see, it's a good company and the trend is still, I mean, the bullish view still is maintained. So I would say add more at 3,200 and wait for it to turn around.
Okay, all right. So that's the view on Muthoot Finance. But viewers, time to slip into a very, very short break. But we'll be right back answering all your queries on the other side. So do stay tuned.
True love is lifelong, isn't it? Just like Tata Power Solar Roof, best quality solutions, lifelong service guarantee and unmatched expertise. ये on the quality lifelong.
ये हाथ केवल हल नहीं चलाते, मिट्टी से सोना उगाते हैं। ये हाथ केवल सिलाई नहीं करते, देश को नया रूप देते हैं। ये हाथ लोगों को उनकी मंजिल तक पहुंचाते हैं और इन्हें हम आसानी से लोन देकर अपना फर्ज निभाते हैं। कैप्री लोन्स फर्ज निभाते हैं।
The stage that brings together India's most compelling creative voices.
NDTV का क्रिएटर मंच है
Where stories are shared, ideas are exchanged, and culture takes center stage.
जब देश पे हमला होगा तो सब एक।
आजकल चल क्या रहा है सिचुएशनशिप, आपको पता क्या होता है?
कभी मैं कह नहीं पाया।
It's okay यार।
NDTV Creators Munch, where creative India comes together.
हो सकता है ये कहानी बन जाए और क्रिएटर्स मंच के नाम से किसी दिन मैं रिलीज कर दूं।
2 powerful days, 14th-15th March, Sundar Nursery, New Delhi.
The year was quite a difficult one. I think ease of doing business is not equal to more risk. I think we should not really club the whole thing as an F&O and F&O volatility without really getting into where the problem is. We should not jump to, kill the markets.
Welcome back to Ask Profit right here on NDTV Profit, the last 15-minute stretch of the show. So do start sending in your queries if you haven't already. But the next question, it's another tough one on Dixon Tech. Now, Anita Reddy actually bought it at 11,400. She's asking if she should hold on or exit or consider adding more shares at this point of time. But, Avinash, let me come back to you. On Dixon Tech, what would you suggest? It's been one where it's been a difficult one to actually call for both analysts, investors, shareholders. Is it a good time to add now?
No, I think, Puneet, the stock is corrected from higher levels of 18,000 and now the stock is trading at around 98.50. My sense is that it's better to wait for a quarter and no fresh buying is advisable because, see, in the AMS space now, there are not many big triggers. Almost everything is discounted in the price. And I think even at these levels, the valuations are not cheap. They are fair to expensive. So I would say that, at least for a couple of quarters, let's wait for the company to perform and, deliver better numbers. And only then fresh buying can be advisable. So I think better to hold, but no fresh buying advisable at current levels.
Okay, the next one is on Swiggy. Preetham Chatterjee says that he has 1100 shares at the levels of 415. He wants to know if he can buy 900 more shares and average out at the current levels. I mean, he's bought at elevated levels for sure. The stock is currently trading at 295. Avinash, I'll stick with you for this one. Your view on Swiggy, because Kotak recently added this particular counter to their portfolio, but have slightly cut the target price considering competition. What's the view here?
No, I think here also I would suggest that it's better to wait for a couple of quarters. See, I think the way Swiggy has been recording losses, my sense is that even at these levels, valuations look little elevated. So better to hold. If he wants to buy in, wait for the March quarter. And I think that would be a good time because obviously the March quarter is also unlikely to be great. So probably he could buy it at maybe lower levels and he can average down better.
Vaishali, actually, just a quick follow-up on Swiggy. You mentioned Eternal could be very interesting at this juncture. Does that view stay on Swiggy as well?
Technically deeply oversold. So, and today we are seeing that there is some strength coming in Swiggy as well as Eternal. But market is such that you cannot vouch for these levels. I mean, the support levels do break easily. So I would say accumulation. I mean, at this juncture, I would definitely not suggest for a short term or, trading strategies. But these dips are good opportunities to add to your portfolio. So yes, I would say start accumulating.
IRCTC is the other one that Sameer is asking a question on and asking if it's a long-term bet. Avinash, a quick view on this one as well.
So here also, Puneet, I think the stock has done nothing in the last 2 years. I think clearly, the internet business has also plateaued because most of the population has been covered. And most importantly, I think the markets want to see very strong numbers. In fact, in the last conference call, the management hinted that on an annualized basis, top line will grow by just 10%. Now, this is not something which is going to excite the market. So I think it's better to wait for Q4 numbers. No fresh buying advisable.
Okay. All right. The next one is on AFCONS Infra. Viraj from Bengaluru wants to know if this is a good time to average. He's holding 150 stocks at an average price of 373. Since the IPO, he's been averaging this counter is what he's saying. Avinash, your view on this one?
Mahima, I think Q3 numbers have been very bad. Profitability has taken a big hit. And I think, unless we see better execution and better margins coming back, normally the fourth quarter is supposed to be a very strong quarter. So I would prefer to wait for the Q4 before making a fresh commitment.
Got that view. And the infra space, definitely out of investors in radar as of now. So AFCONS continues to be at 52-week low at this point of time. But another caller now dialing in from Delhi. And Nitin has a stock query for us. Nitin, good morning. Welcome to the show. What's your question?
Good morning. I have about 1 crore rupees surplus money left with me.
Okay.
Ready for deployment. I wanted some stock ideas where I can deploy this. I did buy LNT today at 3800. I'm looking to buy CAMS at about 625.
Okay.
And some other ideas I can get. Warren Beverages is something I'm looking at. CDSL, BSC, and DLF at about 520 if it comes. But some ideas will help. 1 crore.
Nitin, are these all long-term ideas, Nitin?
Yeah, 10 to 12 years.
Okay, long-term ideas. Got it. Avinash, he's listed out a few stocks, but a couple of them, Varun Beverages, DLF, I think DLF we did speak about, and you've given your view on CDSL as well. Anything that he said that comes on your radar, or what would you pick right now for the long term for the next decade?
So I think Varun Beverages definitely should do well this year. Last year the winter extended a little more, so the business was impacted. So Varun Beverages at these levels definitely seems to be a good bet. I think if you can consider the next 12 to 15 months, and hopefully, I think the first half of this year is going to be a kind of a very solid year for Varun Beverages. But I think, stocks like Mahindra and Mahindra, Indian Hotels, or for that reason, I think even companies like, Tata Motors, and if he has a slightly longer term horizon, these could be very good defensive bets at the same time could offer a decent risk reward. So I think M&M and maybe, Indian Hotels, which has been beaten down, I think one could definitely look at accumulating.
The next one is, also in that Alcobev space. Aniket from Karnataka is asking about Piccadilly Agro. He says if this is the right time to enter from a long-term perspective of 4 years, or any other stock that you're liking in this space of, Alcobev. Avinash, your view?
I think my sense is, this is a stock which has been very volatile, but I think within the liquor space, something like a Radico Khaitan or maybe a United Spirits, these could be better bets. I think these are large players and they command a much better brand premium and obviously are there in the B2C kind of segment. So maybe these companies, if one takes the next 2 to 3 years, definitely a decent amount of money can be paid.
Got that view, and the numbers for Radico Khaitan has been very strong. Citi also had a note on beverages today, talks about the positive outcomes that he's seeing on the Alcobev space as well. And Varun Beverages is one of the top picks as we discussed in the previous question. But the next question coming in from on JM Financial actually, and Manoj from Hyderabad is asking if he should buy into this counter right now. Vaishali, would you recommend that?
Which one? JM Financial?
Yeah, JM Financial.
I would say, wait because the trend is down. It can go to 115, 110. That would be a level to buy.
Okay, the next one, in fact, we've got a caller. Nishad is calling us from Mumbai. Nishad, a very good morning to you. What's your query about?
Yeah, I want a 1-year view on RateGain Technologies, and also can you give me levels like stop loss or their target?
Sure.
If it's sold. Yeah.
Okay, Nishad, got your question. Vaishali, RateGain is the counter. Your view on this one? What is the kind of target and stop loss that you're seeing on the charts?
So I would say RateGain is also weak. I would say exit.
Got it. Got your view, Vaishali. But time now for the rapid fire in this edition of Ask Profit. Vaishali as well as Avinash, you know the drill. The first question that we're taking in this rapid fire round is on M&M. Now a 2-year horizon, a good entry point. Would you suggest that Avinash, it's now a year, given that the base will be quite high next year? Is that any of a concern?
No, I think one can definitely buy into the stock. I think use an SIP approach to gradually add positions.
Okay, MV Photovoltaic, a recent listing. Vivek wants to know if this company is good to invest in. Avinash, any view?
Yeah, I think longer term, if somebody has a 12 to 18 month time frame, one can definitely buy.
Olectra Greentech is the other one. Avinash bought at 1175 by a viewer. Got a new order win also recently. Is it now on your radar given the management change amongst other key factors?
Yeah, I think long-term prospects continue to be good, so continue to hold.
Okay, Greaves Cotton is the next one. Ramesh wants to know from a short-term perspective, can you continue to hold 3 to 6 months? Vaishali on the charts?
Buy.
On Tata Steel, Vaishali, what would you recommend? Is it a good time to enter? Is what Raja is asking.
180.
Okay, Zydus Life Sciences is the next one. The viewer is asking whether he can hold for a very long-term perspective of 5 years. Avinash, your view?
Yeah, he can continue to hold for the next 12 to 18 months.
Sirma SGS bought at 873 by Yogesh. Avinash, there are some concerns on export share being quite high for the company, but what would you suggest?
No, I think it's a hold at the current level.
Okay, Raymond Realty is the next one. From a 6 months time horizon, can Ramesh continue to hold? Vaishali, enough data on the charts?
So Raymond Realty continue holding, strict stop loss of 405.
BEL bought at 251 by Mahalakshmi and she's holding over 1600 shares right now. Asking if she should add more now or book some profit. She's 67 years old and a long-term investor. Avinash?
I think if she's got a time frame of 12 to 18 months, she should continue to hold. The long-term trajectory looks very good.
Infosys is the next one. 85 shares bought at the levels of 1760. Average or hold? Vaishali, your view?
Hold.
Central Bank of India or M&M? What would you prefer, Vaishali, for a short term is what Divya is asking.
M&M.
Okay, the next one is on Bharti Airtel. Bharat is bought at the levels of 2100. He wants to know if he can continue to hold. Avinash, your view?
Yeah, I think keep a time frame of at least 18 to 24 months.
Is it a good time to book profits in Ashok Leyland? Is what Suman is asking. He's up 58%. Avinash, what would you suggest?
Yeah, I think he should book part profit and continue to hold the rest one.
Okay, Shankar wants to know if he can buy IDFC Bank at the current levels, planning to add 1000 shares. Vaishali, would you say yes to that?
Technically 68 is the support.
Network Tech for the long term, the next 10 years. Avinash, would you suggest that buy?
I think better to wait for some time. I think buy on dips, not at the current level.
Got it. Well, that's the end of the rapid fire as well as this edition of Ask Profit by Avinash as well as Vaishali. Thanks so much and helping us solve the 64 queries that we have in this last 1 hour with a management conversation. So I would say, Mahima, that's a good number on a day where there has been a lot of volatility given in the Sensex and in the Nifty 50. But viewers, stay tuned. If you have missed your query, we will start taking them at 2 p.m. live on Ask Profit, the afternoon edition. And of course, for Mahima, we'll try and get that 100 mark as well.
Exactly what I was trying to say.
But all the time on this show, KYC comes up next.
love is lifelong, isn't it? Just like Tata Power solar roof, best quality solutions, lifelong service guarantee and unmatched expertise. ये on the quality lifelong.
बिटिया की शादी है हमारी।
बधाइयों बधाइयों।
कुछ पैसे मिल जाते समय पे लौटा दूंगा। जिंदगी में जरूरत के वक्त हम अक्सर अकेले पड़ जाते हैं।
इसीलिए तो केपरी लोन्स आपको गोल्ड लोन देके अपना फर्ज निभाते हैं। केपरी लोन्स फर्ज निभाते हैं।
The stage that brings together India's most compelling creative voices.
एनडीटीवी का क्रिएटर मंच है
Where stories are shared, ideas are exchanged, and culture takes center stage.
जब देश पे हमला होगा तो सब एक।
आजकल चल क्या रहा है सिचुएशनशिप, आपको पता क्या होता है?
कभी मैं कह नहीं पाया।
इट्स ओके यार।
NDTV Creators Munch, where creative India comes together.
हो सकता है ये कहानी बन जाए और क्रिएटर्स मंच के नाम से किसी दिन मैं रिलीज कर दूं।
2 powerful days, 14th-15th March, Sundar Nursery, New Delhi.
The year was quite a difficult one. I think ease of doing business is not equal to more risk. I think we should not really club the whole thing as an F&O and F&O volatility without really getting into where the problem is. We should not jump to, kill the markets.
Money, fame, dirty money, fame. Spending millions every day, but I still the same. Ganti baji, jingle, 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 jingle. Bas aaj ka jingle, 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 jingle. Chal kare thode single, 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 single. Kyunki tu hai single, 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 single. Baby, I'm your Santa.
First India tour. Hello and welcome to KYC. I am Sharad Dubey and you are watching NDTV Profit, and this is one of the most loved KYC shows as I get you interesting companies which can be newly listed or maybe something which the street is talking about. But I'm not going to give you very easily. I'm going to give you some hints. Try to guess it. What's the company which we'll be talking about in KYC? The first one is it's a manufacturer of renewable energy products. First hint I've given you. Let's talk about the second hint. Surya Kumar Yadav is the first brand ambassador. Of course, the company is having a couple of more brand ambassadors, and that includes Anil Kapoor as well. That's Jackass. But let's talk about one more hint, and that is it's listed recently on November 20, 2025. But has that company given money to the investors in the IPO? Well, I don't think so. It's down 22% from the IPO price. And of course, we had given you in the socials also some images which you could have decided what this company is all about. There are a couple of brands to it, but the company in focus is Fujama Power Systems, and of course they have another brand called UTL Solar also. So दोनों brand में आप confuse मत होइएगा. But why are we getting this company? This was recently listed. Why is the company coming? Is it different from the solar theme pack? Because solar theme pack seems to be out of favor of the market. The global freight price that is rising. Now, will this procurement price from China rise because of that? That is the first question I would like to ask. The second one is the subsidy-based business. Has the order slowed down? Remember that B2G risk is always there for a company in the solar industry, or is the company hedging for its B2C business? These are the questions we will be asking Fujama Power. Interesting number is the 18.7% Q3 margins coming in. Is this sustainable? If yes, ये क्या backward integration का जादू है? That's the question we'll be asking. And the capacity expansion plans, capex and the distribution, are they playing in the tier 2, tier 3 cities? All our viewers in Indore, you could say in Punjab, in Jaisalmer, whoever are there in tier 2, tier 3 cities, are you seeing the products near your houses or your neighbors? That's something to ask about. And the progress on the ramp up of the Dadri line. These are the extension I'm talking about, the new manufacturing facilities which start coming up. So these are the key questions we will be asking Fujama Power. Of course, there's a lot of interest on it. A lot of you have written to me about it, but let's take it slowly. Of course, any fundraise plans, if it comes in, because promoters have a good stake, maybe they can dilute going ahead. But to give in all the details, we'll have Pawan Garg, the founder and joint MD of Fujama Power. He'll be on the show. He'll be clearing most of our doubts on all the questions we have raised. But let's talk about the company, how important the company is all about. Is it different or is it just the same? Let's go into this layer by layer. It's an Indian solar solutions company. It was established in the year 1996. So it's not a new company. 30 years already in the industry, has 4 existing facilities and 1 extra facility I spoke about. That was the Dadri facility which we are talking about. And yes, new facility is coming from Ratlam. It's in Madhya Pradesh as well. Also, apart from this, let's look at the total coverage, and that is what something which has taken my eyes, especially the 6,300 dealers, and they are focusing on tier 2 and tier 3 cities. That is where the magic might lie for this company. They are not targeting tier 1 so much or the exports. So this is where the story of Bharat might play out. 90% revenue comes from the B2C segment. That is pretty much decent because a little bit of pricing power can definitely come in here, but overall the industry overcapacity is there. The key focus, of course, I've spoken about it. This is where the focus lies on. And one more thing they have written is off-grid. Off-grid means non-subsidy. Non-subsidy means payment का जो issue है, that can be sorted because ये government से नहीं आ रहा है. But what are the key products to look at? There is solar power generation. This is one of the key first projects which have come in. Then there is solar cells, there is power supply and lithium ion batteries also. So the entire ecosystem comes in. Of course, these are the new ones I'm talking about. Around 1.5 gigawatt manufacturing capacity is there in power electronics and batteries. But look at kya extension hai, that's around 2 gigawatt. That means let's add it up to make it simplified for you. Totally it's 3.5 gigawatt. That's what the company is targeting. Capacity levels की तो बात हो गई. But क्या target है? This is very much important, and they are establishing the south and east. ये north की player जो है, if you see in your houses, near your houses, this is where the brand comes in. But south and east, these are the new areas. And remember, east has a lot of tier 2, tier 3, tier 4 cities and towns. But why is the market not giving so much premium to the solar theme? The first is higher priced IPOs, mispricing at times, and that's what the retail complains. The second one is the excess dependence on China for procurement. That has been a big question mark for all the solar players, and now they are focusing on their backward integration. The international raw material pricing, that has turned very volatile, and especially the uncertain tariffs which comes in, especially from US, that's where a concern comes. But all in all, if you are in solar industry, there is a B2G, business to government risk, and particularly on the payments and the order flow. Kab payment aayega, kab order aayega, there is always a lumpiness in it, and that's the business nature of it. The global overcapacity at times and the reduced pricing power, that is where the solar theme becomes a question mark for investors. But to remove that question mark, I'm going to get into my KYC show, and I'm going to give you 8 parameters where we'll judge the company and we'll try to figure out isme naya kya hai. First one is income statement, balance sheet, cash flow. These are the 3 holy grail of numbers which we have to talk about. Return ratios, how much the ROC numbers, ROE numbers have come in. Looking at shareholding, remember, this is a newly listed company, तो कोई बड़ा trend आपको नहीं मिलने वाला. You'll just get something which is there in the December quarter. Street cred, only IPO तक के details और अभी तक. And valuations, we'll compare with them a lot of companies which we have discussed all across on social media and on TV as well. And outlook, industry क्या कहता है, company क्या कहता है. These are the 8 rating parameters where we'll talk about it. But let's talk about the first one, income statement. It's one of the most important statement to look at. Revenue, EBITDA, profit, these 3 are there. You can look at it. Over here, the 3-year CAGR, all of them going past the 40% mark. This is something you should be looking at as a long-term fundamental investor. And overall, it looks very strong numbers. But abhi numbers kya hai? Third quarter, let's pull out the numbers and see what has happened here. And has the company performed or not? The Q3 numbers have been on the stronger side, and I had mentioned you about that 18.7% margin. So keep that in mind. And this overall income statement, I will give a strong thumbs up. Let's talk about the balance sheet, and balance sheet is where my concern starts coming in, because it's an asset heavy business. Company backward integration कर रही है, तो debt बढ़ रहा है, and this is coming after the IPO. That's where the question comes. It's around 346 crore that's coming for FY25. Has that reduced a bit? We'll ask that. Management is roughly 470 crores since the last time I heard in the con call. But nevertheless, debt reduction plan, is there any, or will the company take more debt? So that is why, to balance things out, I have to give a neutral rating for the balance sheet. Remember, the debt figure is around 470 odd crore. We'll ask the management about this entire detail, but cash flows is very much important. And of course, operating cash flows, that has actually come down in FY25. That means there is lumpiness in the business. And I told you, at times, even from B2C customers, at times there is a late delay in payment also comes in. That's something we'll ask the management also. How does this model work, B2C versus B2G? But let's look at that. Operational cash flow to PAT, that has also come down, and that's where the concern comes in. So right now, just to judge the FY25 numbers, I have given this a negative rating for cash flows. But let's talk about return ratios. ROC. ROC means return on capital employed. How things have moved around, and ROC numbers, looking at it, it has gone up from 18% to 21% matter of 2 years. In FY25, it's at 39%. Will they sustain these return ratios going ahead? Why? Because the company is taking more debt, maybe for the expansion. And if it takes more expansion, some return ratios might be under pressure. This is just mathematics. But net on the past data, it is very strong, and I've given a strong thumbs up when it comes to the return ratios. Let's talk about the shareholding, and remember, we have to be very fair to the company. There is no major trend. This is just one all. 2% FIs are there and DIs are almost 5%. So over here there is a scope of, you could say, some kind of increase in FIs and DIs, but currently entire sector is out of favor right now. So there might be some bargain hunting, but there is some kind of a big correction happening. But promoters are having healthy 87% stake. Remember, by SEBI regulations, this is supposed to come down to 75% in the next 3 years. So promoter sales, fundraise, you can expect that for an asset heavy company like Fujama Power. So net it's a neutral rating. Let's give it more time. But let's talk about the street cred. IPO was in November 2025. That means almost 2.5 months it has been. But from the IPO price, market condition bhi dekh lo, it's down 22%. Okay, others have also corrected, and I'll get you that picture as well. Last 1 month also stock is down 16%. So for a short period of time, of course, for the IPO people and the people who have entered post the IPO, you haven't made money yet. That is why I've given a thumbs down when it comes to street cred, but we need to wait it out and see what happens in the future. And when the next time this company comes on KYC, we will judge them on much more longer time horizon. Let's talk about the valuations. Valuations is more important here. I'll tell you why. Most of these solar themed stocks are down by almost 60 to 80% in their valuation from the peak levels. That's where the interest had come in the markets. But now what has happened? There are bigger names, Vari, Premier, they are still at the 30s, but they were trading almost at 90, 100s. Insolation is 16x, and over here the company is still maintaining a little bit of premium against its peers. If you could just show the other companies also, apart from insolation, and that is what I'm talking about. But Fujama Power is still at 28 times. Feel it's decently priced because company has that tier 2, tier 3 exposure they are talking about. Mostly domestic it is, and the distribution is their strength. That's what they have been constantly talking about. So it's a neutral rating when it comes to the valuations when the peers come in. Let's talk about the outlook, how things are moving in outlook, and of course there are a lot of concerns here. See, the long-term story is definitely there. Government is all giving good policies, but these things take time, and you need to be a long-term investor, say 5 to 8 years of horizon, if you are actually interested in this industry. Now, the industry itself, 40 to 45 CAGR is projected for the rooftop solar market, how things are growing, and the Bharat, that is where the strength we are looking at. the supply chain risk from China, that is where the concern comes. Almost 90% import of the total imports, whatever that comes in, it comes from China. And this is not for this company, but this is for the entire ecosystem. That's why everybody is focusing on the backward integration, and the key products are taking place. And we'll talk with the management about how these key details are happening. Also, apart from this outlook, apart from the backward integration, the rising raw material prices and the company's pass-through mechanism. कितने महीने में जब दाम बढ़ा तो कब वो प्राइस जो हाइक है या कम हुआ है, कब pass through करते? That's a very important question, because we see all these numbers quarterly basis, and the most important thing is the B2G business risk in any kind of a field. Remember, 91% revenue comes for the B2C segment. So outlook, it's a neutral. Let's look, go ahead and see how things happen. But let's talk about the ratings, how actually things are panning out. And largely we see the income statement is very strong. Q3 numbers, the margins are really good. Balance sheet, it's neutral, but the debt remains a concern. But that's the business model about it. Cash flows, the company needs to prove itself. Return ratios have been good. Street cred and shareholding, the time period you could say is very less. Let's give it more time to understand the company. Valuations are decent right now because the entire sector has corrected, and outlook also. Long-term specific, everything is good, but of course short-term basis there are question marks. So a neutral rating for my analysis in a general show, we gave almost 4 to 4.5 for the most of the companies, and this is, you could say, in the middle. Even Stevens, 4 out of 8 for Fujama Power. Of course there is couple of new things against its peers which I really like, and we'll discuss about that. But joining us would be Pawan Garg. He's the joint MD at UTL Solar. This is their brand, Fujama Power. In 1996, he had founded this company. Now he has more than 30 years of experience in this space. It's not new for him. So of course, anything new which comes in, he'll share with us. And joining us is Pawan Garg. Good afternoon, Pawanji. It was always a pleasure talking with you. I'm seeing both the brands of UTL and Solar on your shirt. So I'm like, ये दोनों brand एक ही है, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, sir ji. Thank you for the opportunity.
जी बिल्कुल. Pawanji, the first question is definitely going to be on the Q3 numbers, and that margins was something which came in my eyes. That was almost 19% up. Now for a business model like yours, of course, there's a blended basis. Do we expect that to touch the 20% mark because of this backward integration? And if yes, timeline बताइए.
You will see in coming quarter. Definitely, your wish will be completed.
All right, but just one more query on it. Like, what are these margin growth levers? Like, what things are happening? In fourth quarter, okay, we can expect a 20% margin, but what are the growth levers that margins बढ़ेगा इसके कारण?
Okay, sir. Major thing is backward integration and operational efficiency. And one more thing is we have end-to-end solution, basically. End-to-end solutions means from R&D to development to production to marketing and to distribution and services, after sales services. So we have end-to-end solution, and because of that, and we have complete solution included power electronics components, that is inverters, solar inverters, storage, that is power batteries and solar batteries and solar panels. We have complete solution, sir.
And Pawanji, another question is the amount of global geopolitical tensions are happening. Of course, there is some procurement which comes from China as well, and there is a raw material pricing impact also. Just two important queries, and then we'll get back to the business model. Is that have the procurement prices been impacted because of the higher freight rates? And secondly, are the raw material costing price also going up? And if yes, what is the pass-through mechanism?
So, Saraji, rate is very low percentage basically of raw material, and you will see 75% is our domestic procurement, only 25% is import. So, if you see total import is very less, against freight is very less percentage of total raw material part. And second thing, if price fluctuations are there, all the market, what happens, they pass on to customer basically. This is market trend basically.
Right. And Pawanji, apart from the margins, apart from how the situation has happened, अगर पूरा बिजनेस के बारे में बताना हुआ डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन को लेके, दैट इज वेयर आई फील देयर इज अ बिट डिफरेंट देन योर कंपटीटर्स। आपने टियर 2 टियर 3 के बारे में बहुत बात किया है। पवन जी, इस एक्सपेंशन प्लान के बारे में बताइए कि किस तरह आप जाने वाले हैं और क्या कंपटीशन रिस्क भी आ रहा है आपको आपके पीयर्स के साथ देखते हुए, बिकॉज एट टाइम्स ये कमोडिटी वाली बिजनेस भी बन जाती है बिकॉज देयर इज अ लॉट ऑफ कंपटीशन हैपनिंग। व्हाट्स योर व्यू ऑन दैट? क्या एक्सपेंशन प्लान रहेगा?
देखिए सर, अपॉर्चुनिटी बहुत बड़ी है मार्केट में। मेन चीज ये है, 96 से जब हमने शुरू किया, अगर हम देखेंगे तो हमेशा एक अपॉर्चुनिटी को हमने पहले से जज किया और उस पे हमने काम किया और सॉल्यूशन मार्केट के लिए लेके आए। मार्केट में जो प्रॉब्लम्स है, दैट इज अपॉर्चुनिटी फॉर अस एंड वी वर्क ऑन दोज अपॉर्चुनिटीज। तो हमारे पास काफी सारे प्रोडक्ट्स ऐसे हैं जिसमें कि हमारे पास जो यूनिक प्रोडक्ट्स है और हमारे पास मोर देन 500 SKU है जो कि मार्केट में सबसे बड़ी रेंज मानी जाती है अपने आप में। और बेस्ड ऑन कस्टमर्स एप्लीकेशंस एंड बजट वी हैव डिफरेंट सॉल्यूशंस। तो वहां पर जो हमारे पास एक मोट है प्रोडक्ट पोर्टफोलियो का, तो वो हमारे को मार्केट से अलग बनाता है।
और पवन जी, एक और सवाल आपसे पूछना चाहेंगे, क्योंकि आपकी जो एक दादरी की प्लांट है और एक रतलाम की प्लांट है, इनके इम्पोर्टेंट जो है अपडेट बताएं, इनके जो है जो प्रोग्रेस हुआ है ये बताएं, और कब जो है आंकड़ों में आप कहेंगे कि इसमें थोड़ा इंक्रीमेंटल बेनिफिट आ सकता है, ये बताएं। ये आपके दो प्रोडक्ट, एक दादरी लाइन है और दूसरा है रतलाम जो मध्य प्रदेश में, बताएं।
ये सर, तो सर अगर आप देखेंगे हमने 96 से शुरू किया तो हमारा जो एवरेज ग्रोथ रेट रही है वो 50% की हमारी ग्रोथ रेट रही है। अगर आप लास्ट 5 इयर्स का भी अगर आप देखेंगे CAGR, तो 50% का हमारा CAGR रहा है। और उसी में अगर हम देखें, अगर फ्यूचर में हमें वो ग्रोथ रेट मेंटेन करनी है तो हमें एक्सपेंशन तो आगे के लिए देख के चलना होगा।
तो
हाँ,
और पवन जी, एक एक्सपेंशन के बारे में तो बात हुआ, लेकिन कुछ कैपेसिटी एक्सपेंशन, कैपेक्स, अगर अगले साल का कैपेक्स का कुछ अमाउंट आप रखे हैं और डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन प्लान्स किस तरह आप अपने नेटवर्क को बढ़ाएंगे, जरा उसके ऊपर भी थोड़ा सा झलक दें।
तो सर पहले वाला क्वेश्चन मैं एक बार कंप्लीट कर लेता हूँ। जो दादरी वाला है, हाँ जी, जो दादरी वाला प्लांट है हमारा, वो कमीशन हो चुका है ऑलरेडी जनवरी में, और इस क्वार्टर में हमें उसका नंबर्स के रूप में बेनिफिट मिलता हुआ नजर आएगा। क्योंकि आप देखेंगे कि हमारे पास अभी तक जो बिजनेस है, रूफटॉप सोलर का बिजनेस हमने 2008 से जो डेवलप किया, और अभी पिछले 1-1.5 साल से जो हमारे पास अपॉर्चुनिटी आई, खास तौर से PM सूर्यघर योजना के तहत, तो उस अपॉर्चुनिटी का हमें बेनिफिट उतना नहीं मिल पा रहा था। उसके लिए रीजन ये था कि एक कंपोनेंट होता है DCR सोलर पैनल की रिक्वायरमेंट थी, और DCR सोलर पैनल के रिक्वायरमेंट के लिए एक रिक्वायरमेंट है सोलर सेल की, जो कि इंडिया में बना हुआ होना चाहिए, DCR सोलर सेल होना चाहिए, जिसकी के डिमांड बहुत ज्यादा है और सप्लाई काफी कम है। तो वो जो अपॉर्चुनिटी थी वो हमारे से मिस हो रही थी। जितना भी हमारा अभी तक ग्रोथ आप देख पा रहे हैं, अगर Q3 के नंबर देखेंगे तो उसमें से सब्सिडी वाले बिजनेस का रोल काफी कम मिलेगा। मेजर जो हमारा बिजनेस ग्रोथ आई है वो नॉन सब्सिडी बिजनेस से आई है।
जी बिल्कुल। और पवन जी, एक बार दर्शकों को एक बार समझा दीजिए कि जो सब्सिडी बिजनेस और नॉन सब्सिडी बिजनेस होता है, इसमें क्या जोखिम होते हैं और क्या फायदा होता है, और ऑफ ग्रिड और जो आप कहेंगे कि ऑन ग्रिड होता है, इसका मतलब क्या, ये हमारे दर्शकों को बताएं।
सर बिल्कुल। तो सर मेजर रूप से तो हम 2 पार्ट में हम अपने सिस्टम्स को डिवाइड कर सकते हैं, ऑन ग्रिड और ऑफ ग्रिड। ऑन ग्रिड में हम क्या करते हैं, इसमें जो एक्स्ट्रा पावर जो हमारी सोलर पैनल से बनती है, उस पावर को जब हम घर में यूज नहीं कर रहे होते तो हम ग्रिड में एक्सपोर्ट कर पाते हैं। तो उस सिस्टम को हम कहेंगे ऑन ग्रिड। उसके लिए नेट मीटरिंग की जरूरत होती है, लेकिन उसकी एक ड्रॉबैक ये है कि हम उसमें बैटरी नहीं लगा पाते, क्योंकि बैटरी बैकअप की उसमें वो बैटरी बैकअप नहीं दे पाते। लेकिन जहां पर हमें बैटरी बैकअप देना होता है, जहां पर गांव है हमारे, टियर 2 टियर 3 सिटीज है, जहां पर पावर कट्स है, वहां पर हमें सिस्टम ऐसा लगाना पड़ता है जिसमें कि हम अपना पावर बैकअप दे सके, लाइट जाने के बाद पावर को जनरेट कर सके। क्योंकि ऑन ग्रिड सोलर में पावर जब हमारी चली जाती है तो उस टाइम पे हम सोलर की पावर भी जनरेट नहीं कर पाते। रीजन उसका ये होता है कि हमें अपने इन्वर्टर में एक एंटी आइसलैंडिंग फैसिलिटी देनी होती है ऑन ग्रिड में। जब हम पावर को एक्सपोर्ट करते हैं तो हमें एक सर्टिफिकेशन लेना होता है गवर्नमेंट से, गवर्नमेंट अप्रूव्ड लैब से, जिसको हम एंटी आइसलैंडिंग फैसिलिटी कहते हैं। उसका रीजन ये है कि अगर
हाँ पवन जी आपने ऑलमोस्ट पूरा चीज कह दिया, थोड़ा समय भी कम रहते तो इसलिए हम थोड़े जल्दी सवाल पूछते हैं।
ठीक है, तो ऑफ ग्रिड में हम बैटरी बैकअप दे सकते हैं।
बिल्कुल।
और हाइब्रिड सिस्टम ऐसे होते हैं जिसमें ऑन ग्रिड और ऑफ ग्रिड दोनों का कॉम्बिनेशन।
पवन जी लिथियम आयन बैटरीज पे भी जो है ऑफ कोर्स आपका पूरा मेन बिजनेस तो नहीं है, पर उसमें भी आप आ गए हैं। किस तरह देख रहे डेवलपमेंट हो रहा है? R&D के तरफ हैं कि अभी भी मतलब कवरेज स्टार्ट हो गया है, बताएं।
देखिए सर, लिथियम आयन बैटरी हमने शुरू कर दी थी कोविड के बाद 21 में हमने शुरू कर दी थी। छोटा हमने एक्सपेरिमेंट किया था, अराउंड 100 मेगावाट का हमने प्रोडक्शन शुरू किया था। उसके बाद लास्ट ईयर हमने 500 मेगावाट का और उसमें हमने एडिशन किया, जो कि हमारी वो पूरी कमीशनिंग हो चुकी थी और अभी हम पूरी प्रोडक्शन कर पा रहे हैं। और इस जो करंट ईयर है उसमें हमारा जो लिथियम आयन बैटरी का जो कंट्रीब्यूशन है वो 25% है, अलोंग विद लेड एसिड बैटरी। तो लेड एसिड बैटरी तो हम बना ही रहे हैं और लिथियम आयन बैटरी भी हम बना रहे हैं। तो नेक्स्ट एक्सपेंशन जितना भी हम कर रहे हैं वो लिथियम आयन बैटरी में ही कर रहे हैं। रीजन उसका ये है कि आने वाले टाइम में लिथियम आयन का जो मार्केट शेयर है वो बढ़ने वाला है।
पवन जी डेट के बारे में भी आपसे थोड़ा बातचीत करना था। आप Q3 का जो कॉन कॉल था वहां से मुझे ये 470 करोड़ रुपए का आंकड़ा आया था, मैं सही हूं?
आप सही होंगे सर, आपने बिल्कुल सही जी।
हाँ तो पवन जी जरा बताएं कि ये क्या डेट और थोड़ा बढ़ने वाला है या थोड़ा रिड्यूस करेंगे, क्या होगा अभी?
डेट टू इक्विटी रेशो अगर आप देखेंगे तो वो आप कम होता हुआ मिलेगा।
अच्छा, आगे जाते हुए कम होता हुआ रहेगा। ठीक,
डेट टू इक्विटी रेशो कम होता हुआ मिलेगा।
तो हमने डेट की बात कर ली, लेकिन जो सब्सिडी की बिजनेस है यहाँ पे, मतलब इंडस्ट्री, आपके कंपनी के बारे में नहीं, पूरे इंडस्ट्री में जो है कभी पेमेंट इशू हो जाता है, कभी ऑर्डर में स्लो डाउन आता है। तो आप जो है किस तरह देख रहे हैं अभी? करंट चैनल चेक्स क्या बता रहा है आपको पूरे इंडस्ट्री के लिए, बताएं।
तो इसमें 2-3 चीजें मैं बता देता हूँ सर। एक तो ये है कि अभी तक की हमारी जो ग्रोथ हुई है वो बिना सब्सिडी वाले बिजनेस से हुई है। सब्सिडी वाले बिजनेस से जो एडिशनल ग्रोथ होनी है वो हम अब उस अपॉर्चुनिटी को ले पाएंगे। सेकंड चीज ये है कि जो मार्केट में डिमांड अचानक बढ़ी है, मैं ये मानता हूं वो सब्सिडी की वजह से ना बढ़ के सब्सिडी की वजह से जो अवेयरनेस आई है उसकी वजह से वो डिमांड बढ़ी है। क्योंकि सब्सिडी की वजह से अवेयरनेस आ गई है, अवेयरनेस आने से जो अब मोमेंटम आ गया है, मुझे लगता है कि वो मोमेंटम अब रुकने वाला नहीं है। रीजन उसका ये है कि ये
पवन जी एक और चीज पूछना था। देखिए आपका प्रमोटर स्टेक तो 87% है, आपको 2.5 से 3 साल में घटाना पड़ेगा 75% तक। जिस तरह आपका कैपेक्स हैवी धंधा है, आप एक्सपेक्ट कर रहे हैं कि 6 महीने 12 महीने में एक फंड रेज या कुछ डायल्यूशन होगा?